Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the July 14th, 2026 Planning Board meeting. I'd like to start with the pledge, please. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, justice for all. I'd just like to review the meeting announcements. Emergency exits are to your left and right in the room, and also you can go out the back. Restrooms are also out and to the left. Please be sure to sign the attendance sheet, which is on the back table. And if you need any contact information for the planning department, there's also business cards there, along with any resolutions that we'll be reading tonight and a copy of the agenda. Please silence your cell phones so you don't disrupt those who are presenting before the board. And if you have to take a call, take it outside, please. And also any conversations that you may wish to have amongst yourselves, please, again, take it out of the room and close the doors behind you so that you don't interrupt those speaking. Thank you. We have 2 meeting minutes for approval. Anyone have any comments for Lisa? No. Or either? No. We're all here for both meetings, right? Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to approve both.
I'll move.
Al moves.
Second.
And Joe seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried 5-0. Approve of meeting minutes from the 12th and 27th of May. We received correspondence from residents of Tuscany Hill to the town board. And we have board committee updates. Jen Tipton from town board.
I have nothing for you at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jen. And Keith, planning board update.
Good evening, Keith Maynard, project manager for the town of Victor. Your next planning board meeting is Tuesday, July 28th at 7 p.m. New on the agenda, Van Bortle Subaru parking lot expansion. That's 6327 State Route 96, and the applicant is requesting approval to demolish the existing house and its accessory structure to expand the parking lot. This is a Van Bortle Subaru. The proposed parking lot will serve as a new vehicle display for the Van Bortle dealership. This was before the planning board and approved in 2022, but it expired. So you've seen those that were on the planning board in 2022 saw that. Bell Atlantic, doing business as Verizon, 400 to 441 Commerce Drive, so the Walmart Plaza. Applicant is requesting approval to modify an antenna and equipment on the existing wireless telecommunication facilities on the roof of the existing building. Number 3, Valenti site plan, 6948 Aldridge Road. Applicant is requesting approval to construct a new single-family residence on Lot 2 of the Valenti minor subdivision that you saw a few months ago. The Mayor minor subdivision is number 4, 8030 County Road 41. Applicant is requesting approval to revise the property lines between 2 existing parcels and to create a new 2.5 acre parcel. Lot 1 will consist of 22.9 acres and the existing homes. Lot 3 will consist of 20 acres. And then the last new item is the Kumatat minor subdivision. This is 280 Railroad Mills Road. Applicant is requesting approval to subdivide a 15.891 acre parcel into 2 lots. Lot 1 will consist of 10.245 acres and the existing residence and barn across the road, and Lot 2 will consist of 5.646 acres to be transferred to the Burroughs Audubon Nature Club. So that's it for that planning board meeting. The other thing I wanted to mention, at the next town board meeting, July 27th, starting at 6:30, there will be a public workshop with the town board to discuss the proposed sanitary sewer connection, the town of Victor's sanitary sewer connection fee increase. So there's a public workshop. Mark Terrian from Labella will be presenting via Zoom from 6:30 to 7. Then there's a public hearing at 7, and then the regular town board meeting, obviously. Any questions on any of that? Okay, thank you.
Okay, first up this evening, 825 Phillips Road parking lot expansion. Applicants requesting approval to expand a parking area with 41 new parking spaces in addition to the existing 26 spaces that are located along the north side of the building.
Good evening. My name is Connor Kilmer. I'm with Donna Home Management. Office is located at 1777 East Henrietta Road in Rochester. Donna Home Management is the owners of Phillips Road, 825 Phillips Road, under the entity Phillips Road Victor LLC. So we have a tenant at this address, or a potential tenant, highly interested in occupying the space. It's been vacant for quite some time. If you recall, a while back, it was Horsepower Motor Works at one point, and then it was Leonard's Trucking for a short period of time. And since then, I believe they moved out in around 2023. It's been vacant since. And so we have a new tenant highly interested in the space. They are a wholesale electrical supply warehouse user. Perfect location for them. It fits all the boxes. The one thing that they are requesting, kind of contingent on signing a lease with us, is that they need additional parking. There's currently 26 parking stalls, and we maxed out what we believe we could do, which is an additional 41. They did ask for more, and we said there's no more space for more. So we are here in front of you looking for approval to do this 42 lot parking space expansion. I did receive comments from code enforcement and the town engineer, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. From the board, Scott,
It seems like a pretty straightforward project to me.
pull your mic down a little. All right.
It seems like a pretty straightforward project to me. I'm just curious if any landscaping can be added to the plan. I don't see any on the plans that you're presenting. Looks like there might be a couple of opportunities along the building to make that look more attractive.
Yeah, so currently there is no, as you can see, no proposed landscaping. It's a fairly funneled property line. So there's minimal frontage along Phillips Road, and then it kind of opens up to the building. We were initially planning on just maintaining what was there, which was kind of the tree line between the two parcels, but at this point we weren't proposing anything for the industrial use.
Those are my questions.
Okay. Trish?
It seems like a reasonable request. I'm sure it'll be addressed tonight about the setback, not meeting the minimum 80-foot parking setback.
Yeah, so I can talk a little bit more about that. I did learn that after having a pre-planning board meeting with the town, and that was brought up. So the intent was to try and get as many parking spaces as possible, but we wanted to match the limits of the parking of our neighbors, so we weren't, surpassing what they were parked at. So if you can see on the southwest area, their last parking space is in line with our proposed last parking space.
You may have a laser
Oh,
up there if you want to point
perfect.
with it. Should be a blue
The red
one.
dot?
Try the other one that's there.
Yeah, right there.
Okay, got it. The other laser might be a little brighter like that,
Oh, yeah.
so. You should have one just like this up there.
Oh, it was under my paperwork.
There you go. Okay, so those opposite each other at the ends, that's what you were trying to match.
Right, I'm
Correct.
essentially trying to match existing.
Okay. Yeah,
So
good.
understood that there is a setback relief from 80 foot to 40 foot on that.
Yeah, technically theirs is actually closer because it's an angle to the road.
Right, it tapers off.
Yeah.
Good point. In addition, just before I forget, it's not really the focal point of this, but there is a proposed monument sign, and there will be building mounted sign that would, go through building at another time, but I just wanted to point it out that would be in the future or as part of the future application.
Okay. I see the rectangle on the plan near the 446 contour.
Yes.
That's, I assume, the sign. So,
Yes.
but you're not asking for that right now, correct?
No, I just wanted to point out that will be coming if we move
Okay.
forward with this company.
Anything else, Scott or Jen? Trish?
I guess I think that landscaping and lighting. The setbacks are important variables to consider for approval. And if there's another site nearby that doesn't comply, it doesn't necessarily provide justification for.
Yeah,
a
understood.
waiver.
Yeah, understood.
I just wanted to go on record with that.
And Trish, anything else? Okay. Al?
Nothing else.
Joe?
I don't, I'm noticing the Labella comments though, so I'll wait till Wes comes up. Concerns about Arundecoy Creek watershed and the drainage intent, so I'll wait till Wes comes up.
Wes, you're up.
Thanks. Wes Petty, Labella Associates, representing town engineer. We do have a comment here about asking the applicant to provide a stormwater design compliant with the Arundecoy Creek watershed requirements. So there might be a change to the plans based on that comment. We've got some other comments here as well. The sanitary sewer line that parallels the southwest property line, is that, where did you get your source for that information? I'm trying to figure out if that's a portion of the town dedicated sanitary sewer.
Sure, so
Private.
the utility base survey was obtained from DDS engineers, and it was a 2013 utility survey.
Do you have an understanding of whether that line there is dedicated to the town or if it's
I don't,
private?
when the survey was complete, there was no easement descriptions regarding that.
Okay.
The comment you provided was an interesting one, and it was the first I had heard of that, so we would certainly be interested in learning more about that.
Yeah, okay. Do you by chance know so on the end of that sewer line, you've got just kind of a continuation mark. But we've got an indication on a town map that there's a manhole somewhere at the terminal end of that. Do you know if that's on site at all, a manhole?
I don't
Not sure. Okay.
know. It might be buried.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah, okay.
There's a gas line right over it, if it continues from that little tilly. Is that, I assume the gas line was shallower than the sanitary?
It might be.
It's this one that,
Sanitaries usually go kind of deep.
yeah, so this gas line that wraps around.
Yep.
And then if there's a manhole, maybe it went around the manhole, or maybe it's beyond the property line.
Yeah, that could be.
It'd be interesting to see a sanitary sewer line extension there, because I'm not exactly sure what it could potentially be servicing. I mean, it's going uphill significantly.
Yeah,
It's more of a
that's true.
statement than a,
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I wondered if maybe the neighboring property to the southwest may tie into that. I'm not sure. I'm curious to do a little more research, because I know one of the lines that's coming out of the building, the sanitary line coming out of the building is described as a lateral, right?
Yeah.
And I know it's just about, and the other one isn't described as a lateral, but I got to find out, I need to find out a little bit more about whether there's any dedicated sewer main there, or why the town map indicates that there's a potential dedicated main there. And if it is, we may need to get an easement over the top of that, but maybe it's privately owned. So I don't know if you're able to help us do a little research.
yeah,
there.
I don't know if there's any knowledge of the town on, just kind of spitballing, if there was maybe a septic system there at one point, and it was
Yeah.
servicing a septic system, and then that had since been abandoned, then a district went in. But it's kind of making stuff up at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
Just spitting ideas.
It's a bit of an unknown. Beyond that, the lighting plan, I've got some questions on. Comment number 6, the illumination contours that are noted kind of on the right side of the page, kind of as a legend symbol. Those lighting contour measurements, they don't appear to coordinate with the illumination grid that's on the lighting plan. So we might need to coordinate that a little bit better.
Right, so just the detail itself needs to correlate with what's been.
I don't know if the detail is accurate, or if maybe the contours that overlap the grid might be in the wrong location. Sometimes we see one or the other. Sometimes we see just an illumination grid, and then sometimes we see just illumination contours. It's not very frequent that we see both of them.
Sure.
The light trespass, we're just looking for you to verify that the light trespass onto adjacent non-residential property doesn't exceed 3/4 of a foot candle required by the code. And, was that comment on there twice?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, that's weird. Okay. It's my mistake. So the maximum level of illumination is, I think it appears the town code limits illumination levels to 10-foot candles in this particular instance for parking lots. And it was a little bit difficult to read the illumination grid on your plan, but it looks like there might be some exceedances there of the 10-foot candles.
Yeah, I can see that. There,
Like right near the
It does
building,
exceed it.
right?
Yeah.
All these, you got 10, 12, 14, 18, right against the building.
Yeah. So if you're looking to illuminate a greater area, and you're looking to accomplish that by a higher intensity light fixture, you might need more fixtures at a lower illumination level.
we can adjust that.
Okay. All right. And then I was just looking. My guess is that your mounting height of those fixtures, if they are building mounted, is probably lower than 25 feet, or is no higher than 25 feet. But that's the maximum that the code allows.
Yeah, 16 feet.
Yeah, okay. So that's it for Labella comments.
Okay.
Unless, yeah.
Are there, you're proposing new fixtures that are generating this illumination plan?
Yes, there's only one small kind of walkway fixture, just to illuminate the doorway. So,
No parking lot
no,
poles or anything like that? Okay. Other than the variance that you would need for the parking, as Scott pointed out, I don't have an issue with this. Pretty straightforward. Is there a way you can, I don't know how far off you are with, if you had eliminated one space, would that get you within the appropriate setback?
I believe the setback is 80 feet, if I'm not
Okay,
mistaken.
yeah, so you're at 45 feet now, so you gotta eliminate like 5 of them if you had to do that, or move to somewhere else. But I don't know, you've probably explored that.
There's not, as I mentioned, they were looking for more, but we weren't able to accommodate that. We're showing spaces pretty much everywhere we can. We can't do it on the north side of the drive aisle. 2 reasons, one of them being that there's not enough of a drive aisle width to accommodate that. And that's also within an access easement to the rear tenant, which is Rochester Brakes and Rotors. So they do have an access easement to traverse across our parking lot, to get to their back lot.
Oh, all the way, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we've seen this building before in several different iterations. Horsepower, when they came in, they put an addition on, and then there was a building with that access right around the corner. What was a wood shop or something at one point, but that was a while ago. Okay,
What's the basis for the number of stalls that's being shown?
They wanted as many as they could possibly get.
so you're saying that they have employees that will fill up all
Yeah,
those parking
they have
spots?
employees, it's a wholesale electrical distribution company, so they're gonna be getting contractors in. They have warehouse employees.
Okay,
It's similar to Cooper Electric and Gray Bar. They're a national company. There's no local presence, though. This will be their first location.
anything else, Scott?
No.
Okay. All right, well, this is a public hearing. I will open up the floor if there's anyone from the public that wishes to ask anything about this proposal. Seeing or hearing none, and nothing online, Susie? No? Okay. I guess I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll move.
Joe moves,
I'll second.
and Trish seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Public hearing's closed. I guess I'm sorry. No, yeah, we don't have a draft resolution for this yet. I guess if there's something outstanding, Wes, do you want that cleared up, the sanitary?
I think we'd like to
question?
have the Arundecoit Creek watershed comment addressed, and then figure out the sanitary sewer ownership. And if it is a town-owned sewer line, there may be a need to get a hold harmless agreement from the town board for paving atop the sanitary sewer main.
Sure.
If,
So between that, the lighting, and looking at the variance for the several parking spaces, which the board has the ability to grant without a formality. Depends on how you guys are feeling about that, but we could see you at the next meeting as early as that. You can provide questions or how to address the lighting and the other issues that was brought up.
Yeah, absolutely. I can work with Abella to work through those items.
Mhm. Okay. Unless there's anything else, I guess we're set.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Right, thank you. Sorry, my voice is a little hoarse this evening. Okay. Next item on the agenda. I don't know how to pronounce this, Spital or Spittle? Spittle, okay, minor subdivision. Applicants requesting approval to subdivide a 1.191 acre parcel from the 150.1 acre parent parcel. Parcel A will continue to be utilized for agricultural purposes along with the existing barn. And I assume parcel B is with the house. So, good evening.
Good evening. My father passed away 2 years ago.
I'm
My
sorry,
sis-
just name and address for the record.
I'm John Spittle Jr. I live in 1669 Joffrey Road, Forked River, New Jersey, 08731.
Okay.
I have a 6 or 7 hour drive to get back up to help maintain the farm.
Mhm.
My sister, Hilda, and I inherited the farm when Dad passed 2 years ago. And the house has been vacant since, well, I have a great niece that moved in the wintertime just to keep the house from freezing,
Yeah.
basically. So we're trying to cut the house away from the original farm. And again, Jason Sherman, my nephew, his family's going to take over the home. The house is built in 1898, I think, so it needs a family in it, so that's what we're cutting it out and maintain the rest of the farm
Mhm.
as is. Hilda Thompson, Jason, and my other sister's family, they all live on the rest of the frontage. That's why it's called a subdivision. So we've added three houses already, 3 family members, so. So this is the home farm building. We cut out a little over an acre of land around it, and that's kind of it's gonna finance us to maintain and keep the farm intact, the rest of the farm.
Okay,
That's the plan, that's what we're doing.
thank you. So, for the board, any questions? Joe, start with you.
No, it seems like a straightforward plan. It's a good plan to keep the family involved with the property, so I don't see any issues at all.
Okay, Al?
No questions.
Okay, Scott?
I was just curious, is this on septic? Is the waste,
Septic, yes.
I think it would be appropriate for the wastewater system to be shown on the drawing for record purposes.
Yeah, we need to know how far from the property line.
Make sure that,
It is?
yeah. That's my only comment.
Okay, Trish?
No questions.
No questions?
Is that something that needs to go on the actual survey map, the actual Mylar that we're gonna get? Is there a marking on that? Where do we need the septic
It
information?
should be shown as surveyed, so it would go on a survey plan, I believe.
Okay, yeah, our surveyor didn't mention that, so,
Okay,
okay.
well, you certainly want to know that it's not crossing over a property line, for one.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
I was there when we
Yeah,
did this plan.
We actually have the plans. It's just got put in not long ago, so.
Yeah,
okay. All right, well, it's great. So if you can show how it's taped out, or, distances to property lines and
yeah,
And now,
distance from, are you on public water or water well?
public water.
Okay, so that's good.
You can give that information to your surveyor and just have him plot it on the drawing, and
Okay,
just to make sure the system is wholly within the bounds of your property, plus any horizontal separations that are required.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for.
all right.
Okay.
We can do that.
Wes, any comments?
I think the septic comment is a great comment. Other than that, the only other change I would request is that the signature line that's entitled Code Enforcement Officer, just change that to Town Engineer.
Where was that?
In what document?
That's the survey map, right? So your Mylar that you submit, there's a signature block, and the signature block should have a signature line for the planning board chair and town engineer. And
Yeah, code enforcement officer would not sign on the plans, that's our
For the
engineer.
signatures when we bring it back. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, just a
Gotcha.
minor
And I'm
correction.
sorry, just I'm just taking a note. What should it read?
instead of code enforcement officer, it should read town engineer.
Town
And
engineer.
you've got, keep the signature line for the planning board chair.
I can follow up with you tomorrow, Jason.
Yeah, I'll get that. All right.
This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to address the application? Now's the time.
Yes, we're done. Thank you.
You're not done yet. Hearing none, or seeing none, interest, entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll move.
Al moves.
Second.
I figured Joe would second. All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing's closed. So, with those couple of changes, so we can better assess what's out at the site and then are able to approve this, we'd have you make those changes to the survey plan, and I'll see you back as soon as they're done, so could be as early as next meeting, probably.
I can put you on July 28th.
And then we can review that and probably move you forward, so, okay?
Thanks.
All right, thanks, gentlemen. So item 3 on the agenda was removed. That's the Mortellaro site plan. Item 4, Centola site plan is now up. This
Or did
was a public hearing, and it was closed last year, I believe. Owner Ronald and Susan Centola, applicants requesting approval to is requesting approval to construct a single-family home on 2 acres. Address is on Baker Road, and this was part of the Vincent subdivision in 2024. Good evening.
Good evening, David Cox with Cox Engineering. We talked about the project in great length last time at the meeting, and one of the things we were kind of hung up on was the retaining wall. Wes wanted to get some additional information on that. We did price that up and ended up being quite a bit more than the homeowner wanted to spend on it. So we ended up revising that. We shifted it closer to the building. So previously it was about 20 or 19 feet away from the building. Now I've shrunk that down to 10 feet from the building. So that reduced the height of the wall. So now we're at a max of 4 feet. A lot of it's 3 feet or so. So max of 4 feet. It's more like a landscape wall now, not not a robust 7.5 foot tall wall. So
Same construction or a different type of wall?
different type of wall. So before it was a stone strong, which would be an overkill for 4 foot wall.
Or 4, yeah,
This is a ready rock.
one block.
Yeah, ready rock wall. So, yeah, it would be essentially be one block. Yeah. So yeah, it's a ready rock wall now. That's good for 4 feet. So
Mhm. It's a smaller scale. Those are
yeah, and
nice.
it shrunk the length as well quite a
Okay.
bit.
So probably the same question would arise, is you've got it engineered and per plan,
Yep.
engineer's request last time. So, Wes, anything come up when you looked at this?
No, I
change?
don't think so. Certainly with the 4 foot maximum height of the wall, we're much more comfortable with that. And yeah, I don't think I've got anything further on this project. Although any of the conditions, if there's a resolution prepared that the planning board wants to consider, should be conditioned on Labella's letter
Okay,
from December, which you have. And I think you've probably addressed
We did it. I addressed
all
that.
those comments, so.
okay, well, go across the board again. Al?
No questions.
No? Scott
I think I'm good.
and Trish? Okay. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Appreciate all you put into it. I guess we're in pretty good shape to advance a resolution for this, I believe, which we have. So, unless there's anything else, I'll go ahead and read that resolution. Whereas for the Centola site plan, Baker Road, whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact, and there are 11 of them. Whereas section 55-6D1 of the Victor Town Code requires 440 feet separation between driveways for local through roads, including Baker Road, that has a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit, and site distance requirements would be 430 feet for a right turn and 500 feet for left turn, and the applicant's proposed driveway would be within approximately 270 feet from the intersection of Baker Road and Ballantown Road. Now therefore be it resolved that the planning board waives the portion of chapter 55, section 55-6, paragraph D of the Victor Town Code to allow the driveway separation depicted on the subdivision plan and not require the 440 feet of separation between driveways as part of the access spacing requirements due to the proximity of the intersection of Baker Road and Ballantown Road. And we had this discussion, I believe, at the last meeting as well. So be it further resolved that the application of Cox Engineering PLLC site plan entitled Centola Site Plan drawn by Cox Engineering dated November 2025, received by the Planning Board November 4th, 2025, last revised July 1st, 2026. Planning Board application 34 SP 2025 be approved with the following conditions. Number 1, standard. Number 2, the comments in a letter dated June 11th, 2026 from the code officer be addressed. Number 3, comments in a letter dated June 15th from the highway superintendent be addressed. That's 2026. And that the comments in a letter dated December 9th, 2025 from Labella Associates be addressed. Ongoing conditions. 1 is standard, so is 2, 3, and all 4 of those are standard. And 5 as well. So, and be it further resolved that the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. Any changes? I think we're all set. Looking for a motion.
I'll move.
Al moves,
Second.
and Scott seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carried, 5-0.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item, Lehigh Place PDD prelim and final subdivision. Public hearing is open. This is 200 Victor Heights Parkway. Owners Auburn Trail Properties LLC. Applicants requesting approval to subdivide the 24.154 acre parcel into 3 lots. Lot 1 will consist of the FLCC building on 6.654 acres. Lot 2 is the proposed apartment buildings on 14.2 acres. And Lot 3 will consist of the TLC daycare on 3.298 acres. This is the second and third step of a major subdivision. Good evening.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the board. My name is Cole Papasergi with Marathon Engineering. With me today is Mark DeFelice, the applicant, and Jim Fahey, the architect for the project. Purpose of tonight, we are here just to kind of take another step forward towards approval for site plan approval and the subdivision approval, as Joe had mentioned. I'm going to do 3 things tonight. I'm going to just give a quick little recap. Second, I'll talk about some small project updates, and then I'll turn it over to Jim, and he'll talk a little bit about perspective views. To start, project recap, as Joe mentioned, 3-lot subdivision. One of the lots is a PDD site plan, which will have 3 4-story apartment buildings totaling 156 acres. And as this is the second part of the PDD process where the town board has already approved the rezone. Came before the board, the planning board late last year, and then we're tabled to work through some wetland issues, which I explained at the last meeting, and we talked a little bit about that. And the last thing was kind of sanitary sewer. We have received sanitary sewer capacity, I should say. We have received the town engineer's comments, Wes's comments. Most of those are technical in nature, and we did provide a response to those. With that sanitary sewer, we have revised our calc for the project is going to contribute to the sanitary district, as we have narrowed down our bedroom count as we've kind of gone a little bit more into a final design. So we had provided that to West for him to include in his sewer study. And then I'd like to just quickly talk about the site amenity revision that we did. When we were looking at the site plan, one of the things that we noticed as we kind of focused in on the clubhouse and amenity package, as we kind of got a little bit finer into detail, if you go to the site plan.
You have a clicker up there, so
Does
if you
this
want,
click?
Susie right now is clicking, but you can take control if you want.
So over here in the southeast corner of the site, as we were looking at the clubhouse and the pool, something we noticed is that the pool was pretty far away from the clubhouse, and we wanted that to be a little bit more proximate to the clubhouse. That way people that were using the pool could get to the locker room a little bit quicker, and it made more sense with the site. As part of that, we've just consolidated as we've the amenities. So the fireplace that was over here is now up there with the pool, and just kind of works a little bit better with that whole package. So then lastly, one of the things that was brought up at our last meeting, the June 9th meeting, was perspective views. I think that came up. That was something that we had provided early on in the process, but we have kind of made some tweaks to that. So I'll have Jim come up and just talk to that a little bit.
Thank you, Cole. Good evening. I'm Jim Fahey from Fahey Design Associates. As Cole had mentioned, we have 3 52-unit, 4-story wood frame apartment buildings that we're proposing on site, along with some ancillary facilities, community center, 50 detached parking garages, a maintenance building, and some outdoor amenities, including grills, fire pits, things of that nature. So this is really a state-of-the-art marketplace community. So we've trying to put everything in 156 units. The amenities that we're providing is really not common. We're really on the high end of what you would see. Typically, you would see these types of amenities in 300 to 400 unit communities. So we're really providing a lot to the community, the people that are going to live in this neighborhood. I think it's going to be highly desirable spot. And I think from a standpoint of 4 stories, I know that's a hot topic with the town. At the very beginning of this project, when we were conceptualizing this community, the town board asked us to do a photo simulation study of some views along Route 251, along the Auburn Trail, and also back up on Route 96. And they had specific points that they wanted us to take views from. We took photography from all of these spots. We painstakingly went in and modeled buildings to fit into this photography accurately as far as scale, massing, heights, and so forth. So maybe I will start with that. So this is kind of just an aerial global view of, oops, there we go, of the spot. You can see the 3 buildings kind of tucked up against the Auburn Trail and commercial buildings surrounding it. This is thanks. This is a view from up on the highest point on Route 251. If you look kind of between these buildings, you get a little bit of a glimpse of the apartments, not much in the background. Another location that we were asked to look at, and I, very honestly, I'm not, oh, you can just between the trees, just to the left of the block building, you can see the apartment buildings in between there. Right in there, yeah. Very difficult to see. This is the entrance down on the lower end. Finger Lakes Community Building, and then the apartments are just kind of peeking to the side of that. This was up on Route 96 with an arrow just showing where the community is. It's well outside of view, but it was a spot we were asked to look at. So in each of these 52-unit buildings, it's going to be a mix of one bedroom, one bath, two bedroom, two bath, and three bedroom, two bath market rate units. Each of the buildings will be provided with integral private parking garages. Two of the buildings will have 10 private garages within the buildings. One of the buildings, the one that is to the southeast corner of the site, we're using the 5 parking bays on the south end of the building for additional community amenities. There's going to be a pet spa in that area, a golf simulator, co-work stations for people to have meetings and work together on projects, and a large bike storage area. Being adjacent to the Auburn Trail, we're confident there a lot of the residents are going to want to ride their bikes on the Auburn Trail. Each of the units in the building, as I had mentioned, these will be state-of-the-art. They're going to be very open floor plans. They'll all be on an accessible route. There's 2 stairwells and an elevator in the building. They will be handicapped adaptable, modern amenities features in each of the apartment units. They will all have a covered outdoor open air, either patio on the ground floor or covered veranda on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floor. So everyone will have inside and outside spaces for their units.
I'm sorry, not to interrupt, but you said for the parking garages, they're separate from the building. There's nothing under
No,
the
there's,
apartments as there is here in the village on.
so in the building, there's 25 integral parking spaces in the buildings.
Inside.
And there's 50 that are detached garages.
Okay,
So at the ends of this building, which I don't have the side elevations here, I have the front and the rear, but at the ends of these buildings, there'll be 5 bays on each end where people actually pull in into an entry corridor and up to their units. So very secure. A lot of the elderly really want that from a security standpoint when they're coming home late at night. It's also nice and inclement weather that we have. But in addition to that, there will be 50 detached garages that are
Okay.
closely proximate to the buildings.
so a mix, okay. Thank you.
The architecture, as you're seeing it, I think that's mainly what I think the board wanted to get a feel of. It's very traditional in style and detailing. It's going to be a mix of clapboard siding and stone in the veneer, and we've carried that not only on the front elevation, but all the way around. So you can see there's a significant amount of masonry on the building as you go around all 4 sides. There'll be entrances from front and rear. You're looking at the rear of the building here, where you can see a center entrance there that will provide access for those that are parking at the rear of the building. On the front of the building, you have a center main corridor entry, and then flanking towards the ends at the corners of the front, there will also be exit and entry corridors for people to get in and out of the building. So there's going to be 4 entrances, exits to this 52-unit building. All of the materials will be low to no maintenance so that we can minimize any upkeep on the building. Building colors, the colors that you're seeing here we will be putting an exterior material color palette together And this is a good representation of the color scheme that we'll be using. So there'll be soft earth tone colors with light trim and window colors to match, with some sort of probably a weathered wood type of a roof, asphalt fiberglass shingle roof. I think that, in a nutshell, is the buildings. I don't want to prolong it any more than that, but between the photosim and this, I think it gives you a feel for where we're going with these.
Did you provide any photo sims from the trail itself? I know you did the
Yeah, I'm
Route
sorry, I didn't-
251 and Route 96.
I did. So that's northeast corner along, that's probably the one, that view, and then as you go very southerly along the trail, you'll get another glimpse. But, so that's looking at that northeasterly building. As you go further on the trail, this is about in the middle of the site. You can see during this time of the year, you won't be able to see anything. Wintertime, foliage is down, obviously you will. This is looking at from the southern end of the site. So we've put the community center, when we showed this to the town board, the community center was not in this photo sim. We've recently added that for accuracy. And we've also put a 12-foot stand of evergreens to show if we do a landscape buffer along that south area, how it's basically taking the lower, in essence, kind of veiling the lower two floors of this building by a very modest amount of evergreen cover, which will, over time, grow to where it will be very difficult to even see the building. I had mentioned the community center. It's 2,200 square feet. There's a large covered area that borders the swimming pool. In the community center, it's a very basic program with a fitness area, a large gathering space with a kitchen and a leasing office, and then a men's and a ladies' toilet room and a mechanical room, and that's it. So we've kept it down. Obviously, for 156 units, you can only get so big with this thing from a budget standpoint. But we're providing an awful lot here for that number of units.
Are they like changing rooms, the men's and ladies' room, or
No.
just
That,
toilets?
you know, that went out years ago. We used to put full locker rooms in our community centers, and nobody was using those. Probably the past, I'm going to say, almost 15 years, we've been taking showers and locker rooms right out. In the fitness spaces, you might have cubbies where people are going to put a wallet or a whatever, some sort of a valuable, but they're just not using them. People that are using these facilities are going back to their apartment to shower and
Sure.
and most likely change also.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? For him?
At one point, I recall, I think a maintenance facility or a shed for a Victor Hiking's Trail somewhere on the property.
There is, you can see, let's see, right there.
Thank you.
Oh, excuse me, no, down, just
Can,
just
talk
north,
about-
yeah,
So-
north of the,
There is a maintenance shed for the complex for
No, for
maintenance.
Victor Hiking Trail, I think was going to have a shed on the property as well.
Was that for the Rawson Road
I was
property?
gonna say, that was
Trying
for
to recall.
7200 Rawson. Yeah.
Thank you. And do you have any of the pictures without the foliage on the trees, early spring, winter, late fall? You showed full summer, so it does show it at its best, but a good part of the year, there's not going to be a lot of foliage on the trees.
yeah, so, no, we don't, that was in response, the time of year when it was asked, it was right around this time, I believe, a couple years ago, so we went out there, took those shots. Without foliage on the Auburn Trail, you're going to be looking through limbs and seeing apartment buildings, without a doubt.
So between the Auburn Trail and the rear of the buildings, is it going to be lawns or picnic tables? What's the,
So the buffer between the trail and the development was brought up during the town approval process and was something that they also had some comments on, as well as I think this board did. And to reply to that, we had made sure to maintain a good 20 to 30 foot buffer from the trail and leaving a strip of vegetation as much as we could. And it's not much unlike adjacent industrial uses that have that same 20 to 30 foot buffer.
Anything else? Okay. Any other updates you want to point out or highlight?
Nope.
Okay, then continue on with questions from the board, I guess. Scott?
With respect to the evergreens that were shown visually, is there a reason why they could not be extended into that buffer area that you just mentioned? In other words, providing a continuous, excuse me, tree row between the facility and the hiking trail.
I think my battery and my laser pointers are dying a little bit, but there is a trail connection that we're proposing at the northeast part of the parking lot there. So there would have to be a gap for that trail, but we can certainly we have provided or proposed some of those evergreens and trees, as you can see on that rendering, but we could certainly work to close that in on that trail a bit, just so it's just as seamless as it can be. Absolutely something we can do.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it could just be extended the entire length of the facility as it butts up against the trail. That's all. That would seem to be me anyway, to be a good buffer to overcome the winter condition that Joe was mentioning. And I guess the other question that I have is, and I guess this touches on the hot button issue, so I'll touch on it. Why 4-story? Why not 3-story or 5-story? How did you arrive at 4-story? Why is 4-story the magic height, the magic number?
So, I mean, this was presented to the town board at the start of this project as kind of a whole package. We had a market study done and to really provide the town with the package and the completeness, then it's really, at this point, a town board approval perspective. They had set the PDD, and now we have to go with what they have put in place.
So you really didn't answer the question.
Let me try. Let me see if I can help.
Back to you, Al.
When you're in the best-
I was waiting for that.
We know what was approved by the town. The question is, why did we?
It's a very simple question to answer from an architectural, economic standpoint. If we go to 3 stories with this, we lose almost 30% of the density of our apartment buildings. We lose 42 units out of this project. That's number one by going to 3. It's a huge number. So feasibility becomes not feasible on making a project work. Going to 5 stories is a huge step. We can use standard wood frame construction in 4 stories. We can't when we go to 5 stories. We get into a whole different fire rating requirement of 5 stories of wood framing. Everything goes haywire on sprinkler systems. We're using a 13R sprinkler system in here. We would be to a full 13 system with fire retardant treated wood or some other type of construction. So our construction costs would go crazy. So there's a sweet spot in 4 stories. And maybe preaching to this board, and this is, I do a lot of these across New York State into Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Rhode Island. This is kind of a thing that my business has been specializing in. And I've seen a real change of heart in villages and townships over the past 4 to 6 years in embracing these strategically placed, higher density infill communities because they make economic sense, they're smart sustainability-wise. It's becoming part of forward-thinking towns and villages where before it was looked at as, we don't want these larger buildings in our communities, but they make so much sense. There's been such a shift in what everyone is looking for from a lifestyle change, not only from the seniors, empty nesters, it's filtering right down to our kids and how they're looking at choosing housing. There was a time when we would do 800 or 900 homes a year out of my office, not only from scratch, but drawer plans that are selling all over the place. That is totally flip-flopped to where this type of housing has taken over the marketplace. It's a shift in how everybody wants to live. I'm sure you know all this, and maybe I'm preaching to the choir, but this infill is really desirable. It's a smart move for the town rather than having these subdivisions that are sprawling out. They're not economically smart. They're not sustainability smart. These are. And I couldn't think, when I look at this spot, when Mark brought this project to me a few years ago, I said, I can't think of a better place you could put a 4-story apartment building in the town of Victor than this spot. You're around an area that's commercially based. You're in a valley. You're up against the Auburn Trail where people are going to want to not only use that, but you're in a kind of a buffered spot. This is not going to be seen by a lot of people unless you drive right into this community. So I know I'm preaching, but I'm preaching from something that's from my heart that I believe that I'm seeing not only in New York, but I'm seeing in other states. So I really think this is a smart move. I think your town board was on top of it when they made the decision that they made.
Well, when this board, just to jump in, looked at this and gave advice to the town board, one of the things that we were looking at was how remote it is relative to anything in the village. Like, there's a 4-story apartment building that was just built in the village. It's close to a lot of amenities. This particular site is miles from anything. And so, yes, it's the trail, and you'd have to...
You're a quick bike ride away, and I would beg to differ. There's an awful lot of people that would enjoy that walk.
Well,
it's not that far.
Understood, but it's still, typically you see the size of the buildings diminish the further out you go. So I think that was one of the things that we
Or
looked
the
at.
site is a multi-use, which again, at least some of us believe that really was the intent of a PDD, was a mixed use.
Yeah,
kind of
that's the other part.
Well, okay, so in other words, introducing some commercial into these buildings? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
It's
first
retail.
floor retail.
So do you know the history of what Parrington did with their comprehensive plan? So I designed Parrington Hills apartments, and we have a 6-unit apartment building with commercial on the ground floor. We have a 20-unit with 2 stories of apartments above it on 2 different buildings, a 20 and a 17 and a 6. They have a multi-year waiting list for the apartments. It's a ghost town on the first floor. Over there, it would be 100% would be a ghost town. Maybe in your Village Walk, it wouldn't be quite as much. But Parrington changed their comprehensive plan because of that project. As successful as it is from an apartment standpoint, those buildings are not making it. I've designed the Arbors in Penfield. It's under construction right now. We have 4 mixed-use buildings. All the apartments above have been rented since day one. They do not have one tenant on the ground floor, not one. Now, I get, not emotional, but this to me is like, I want to say, please, help yourself. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, we had one proposal just outside the village on 96. For years, languished. There was no construction, no development. It was a first floor retail, second floor. You remember that, Al, probably.
Yeah.
And I think it's since been rethought.
I'm on your main drag. This
Yeah.
is, I mean, it's so desirable. You could pull it off here, right on Main Street, but over there, it would be terrible.
Well, there's so many retail opportunities along here that aren't going anywhere. I can see that point as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, you look at it both ways. So,
But I get the apprehensive of four-story buildings in the wrong location. This is the right location.
Well, and again, it appears the ultimate answer is right, it maximizes the profitability of the project.
Of the project. It makes it a feasible project.
Not necessarily the positive impact on the community.
You're saying not including the
Not
positive?
necessarily. I mean,
Oh,
again,
I think
so-
this will be, I mean, the Ontario County study of housing, your plan, everything leads to say this is something you should have here. You have a need for this. I mean, is anybody growing much faster
That
than
becomes a much more
Victor?
philosophical discussion, right? How big do we want the town of Victor to become, right? Because you can maximize four-story buildings all over the town and have this become a 50,000 resident town.
I think there's a lot of reasons that people want to live in Victor, and they're moving here for those reasons, and if you don't have the housing for them,
And one of those reasons is a school district, and guess what? This puts an additional strain on an already constrained campus environment.
but not
Can't
the,
build up or out anymore.
it will, but not at the, I mean, this is, I'm harping that the young likes this also and the growing families, they do, but not we're not catering to that. When you have a majority of your,
But people that want to move to Victor that can't buy single-family homes, young couples will then migrate to rental units,
they will.
and children that will go to the school district.
No, I guess, you know what, I think we're probably, if we sat down with a cup of coffee, we'd come to 9 out of 10 things we would agree on in this, that I think. But I think this is fantastic for Victor, so I am preaching to this board. The first time I had a chance to talk to you about it, but I really, really think this is, from experience and where I see this whole area in growth, this would serve your township well.
okay. Any other questions or thoughts? Joe? Okay, Scott?
I think you've had a good planning discussion. I think your points are well taken. I'm curious, you know, Wes, you're a planner, by education, I believe, right, and practice. I'm curious to know what your opinion might be in this situation.
I don't know if that's the position you're putting.
Am I speaking as a town engineer, or am I speaking as a?
I don't know,
Planning.
I guess, you know, this seems to be kind of a planning discussion that Jim has presented. I think his points are well taken.
Yeah, it's-
I'm just curious, from a planning background, as looking at the trends in business, I think you picked up on the fact that commercial is not really flourishing and residential is, and this project is a reflection of that as it pertains to a PDD or a PUD, and why we wouldn't really want a mixed-use development, although that's usually the standard in many of the communities that you mentioned. I guess I'm just interested in, you know, a planning perspective from this side of the table, that's all.
Yeah, I guess, so unofficially, my thoughts are, you know, first floor retail in this particular setting, I would agree, is probably not feasible, right? I think you would find the same circumstances as you're finding in those other communities that you cited. In a downtown environment, right, like here, Main Street in the village of Victor, that's going to work, because historically, you know, that's where businesses have succeeded, right? Where you have that concentration of population. But who are the customers going to be in this particular area for retail that are on Victor Heights Parkway? You know, you're pulling just from the residents of the apartment buildings, and that might not be sustainable for that type of retail. So that makes sense. I also have seen that communities, I don't necessarily want to repeat exactly what James had said, but I do see, like, for example, there's a place in Saranac Lake. You might be familiar with that. I think that's a 4-story building right on the lake. Newer construction, looks a little bit like this, right? And that's a village, right? But that's pretty close to their downtown. You know, walkability is high there in the village of Saranac Lake. So yeah, I do see these types of projects happening a little bit more in different communities across New York State. Whether or not the town should be approving them. So one thing that we have is, this might be a desirable thing based on what the demand is, but we're not offsetting the density, right? Out in the more rural areas of town, there's no transfer of development rights. It's increasing the residential build out of the town, right? So even though this might be a desirable thing for a community or for residents, it's going to tax the town in other ways, right? We've talked about sanitary sewer. We know transportation and vehicular traffic can be complicated on Route 96 at certain times of the day, at certain times of the year. So, yeah.
I appreciate your perspective. And,
Sure.
And I also appreciate knowing the difference between 3 stories and 5 stories, because I sensed there was a reason we seem to be
Well, yeah,
zeroing in on.
there's a big reason there, that more construction, but
Yeah.
density on the 3, construction type on the 5. But, yeah, I mean, a town can take a stance and just kind of put a moratorium on new development if you want to do that. That's,
Well, again, I'm not even professing that, but again, to Wes's point, right, some type of offset to maintain, right, a maximum build-out, which is not the case in this case, right? We're adding, it's incremental build-out against the town comprehensive plan, because this was never envisioned to be residential as part of the comprehensive plan. It was commercial.
yeah, I get it. I think, I look at it, I always want to look at that coin to say, this is an opportunity for you to capitalize on a spot that wasn't in your thought process, and so you look, you're more,
How does a town capitalize? What's the net benefit to the town?
residents that are using all of your facilities here in town,
What's the facilities?
your restaurants,
Which restaurants are those that we don't have?
I think he's saying.
as I drive down to town,
what's
do
there.
you want these guys not to have people coming in and eating dinner in their establishments or drinking in their establishments or using your banks at the corners? And it's providing income to the town of Victor. It's that simple.
Yeah,
And this is not 500
I'm
units.
not sure we're relying on people living in the town necessarily to provide that, those.
Yeah, so
Assumption.
so we're getting way outside of my
Oh, we are,
discussion.
but you made a
Yeah.
statement around the net benefit to the town, so I just said, what's that net benefit?
I think it's huge, but I think.
Financial.
I
Is this a net financial drain or benefit to the town?
think this is a major financial gain to the town.
Is there any economic analysis that actually demonstrates that? Not necessarily for this
I'm
project,
sure.
but other projects you
Yeah,
have.
I mean, I don't think it's my place to have to do that analysis for the town of Victor, but there's no question there is. That's the beauty of high-density infills. They're not taking up a mass amount of land. Your utility structure is not going over 50 acres, 40 acres. It's condensed. Sustainability, we're not destroying land
The
for.
spread becomes limiting factors to the growth of the town. So if we want untethered growth, this is a great solution.
I think it is, right, exactly. And
If
that's,
we want untethered growth, that's a great
well,
solution.
not untethered growth. I think, I think it's well monitored growth. But I think, Al, I think I get your point. I get it. And I mean, if we're coming in here with 600 units or something stupid like that, it would be a whole nother story. This is 150 units.
You heard it here first, something stupid like 600 units.
Well, I shouldn't say that.
And by that,
I'm gonna be here next week with the guys.
we can move on, but there's a cumulative effect of these. Right now, this is the third.
And
Four
it puts,
story
and
building up
it
at
puts a
High Point.
tremendous burden on the town
The
board
other
and
one
the
on
planning
Fisher's,
board to make those decisions.
Street.
Yeah.
There's-
Right, yeah.
So now we're talking 4 or 5 of these developments in the town. There's a cumulative effect. In isolation, it may make great
Well,
sense.
it's funny because in the town's comprehensive plan, we talked, and since then, we've been discussing transfer
Right, which
development.
Doesn't seem like
And
it's really
that-
materialized.
That did not appear with the discussion for this particular project to make it a PDD.
Right.
If it had, I think we'd have a different conversation.
I believe you're correct.
And I think moving forward, since this is kind of the arrangement for the PDD it was done by the town board. The next time something comes along, we need to discuss that more
Agreed.
carefully. So, all right, I'm going to end that part of the conversation for the moment.
Yep, nope, good.
And something else you
Thanks for
wanted to
indulging me.
cover?
I've covered what I
Okay,
was.
thank you.
That was a good discussion. Thank
I
you.
actually have a question.
Oh, Trish, sorry, yes.
That's okay. How many units will be three-bedroom units?
There's only going to be 6, and there's 2 per building, so it's very low.
So it's low, okay.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, because going back to Al's
Yeah.
point about the schools, and they're actually right now on a freeze of building
Yeah,
projects.
the
So I was
back
just
corners
curious
of the first floor of each building is a 3-bedroom unit. And that's it for the community. So
On
there's
the
6.
top floor or bottom floor?
Just the bottom floor.
Okay, not a penthouse, is what you're telling me.
No, well, we've done that. I don't think, we haven't gone to that in this community, but
Yeah, no, that's fine.
And then the other question I had is in regards to the parking area in front of the community center, is that specifically, that's not, would not be part of that apartment building, that would be specifically for the community center?
well, I think Cole can address how many we need per your zoning for that, but I'm sure it could be used either way.
Well, this is just for the community, though, the building, the
Oh,
site.
yeah, this is
site
a community, this is not a public community center.
No, that I know. but
Yeah,
I'm
so
saying is
there'll be some that are going to be dedicated for the community center, but I mean, how
parking
many do we need?
spaces,
for
like, on one of the images here, it looked like there were parking spaces that were specifically for a community center, because I don't see like a sidewalk connect. So obviously, people would most likely, I mean, some people may be driving over, because I don't see, like, sometimes you'll see sidewalk connects between buildings like this to go to a community center, so since I don't see that, I didn't know if that was dedicated parking spaces for those that want to just drive over instead.
There's no proposed dedicated parking spaces for the community center.
Okay.
We would anticipate that most residents would walk from their apartment to the community center, but,
Depends what time of the year, maybe in the winter. they
yeah,
may wanna
that's,
drive down.
yep.
So-
But as such, residents will want to park as close to their intended use as possible, so they might be, for all the apartment buildings, they're going to be parked along the apartment building rather than parked close to the community center.
Right. So there would not be dedicated, like, spots, it looks like on this one photo that there's a few handicap spots and some dedicated spots, but that would not be specifically for the community center, that's the ones that are on the image right in front.
The handicap spots would be provided, at the closest, to meet the ADA code.
Right.
So they would have their own spots. But as far as like reserved, there's no proposed at this time.
And then I may have missed this earlier, if I did, forgive me. Is there, so you spoke about in the trail having, trying to make the, having enough, the blockage of the view, but is there an access point so that people who want to use the trail would be able to easily go through and use the trail as well?
Yes, we are providing a trail access or trail
Is that-
connection
Okay, I was wondering
right
if
there.
that's what that was. Okay, and so that'll connect over where the community center is.
Correct. There would be
Okay.
sidewalk all along the parking there.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Would it make sense to have a connection at the northerly end of the complex to the trail, rather than just one point where if you want to get on the trail, you're in the northwest building, you're walking all the way down to get to the trail if you wanted to go one way or another?
There's an existing trail connection that actually is in this pretty much
Yeah.
exact spot.
If you look at the aerial you guys provided, it does show that, but I was thinking, why wouldn't you put one at the other end?
So, and there is a trail easement on this property here that has been provided to the town. So there theoretically could be one.
I'm just thinking, if you just made a connection right here, or thereabouts, to get to the trail from your site, why wouldn't you?
There's a little bit of grade change through there in the ditch along the trail. This connection is an existing connection. It's a little bit flatter in this area, and it just makes it a little bit.
We like bridges.
Well, if there's not dedicated parking in that area, it may make more sense to have a second spot because, particularly like if folks on that end may want to.
One of the thoughts is we're hoping on that southeasterly building is to put a large bike storage space for all of the tenants to be able to bring bikes in, lock them up, have them secured, then they're right out of there, across the parking lot and onto the sidewalk to the trail. I think not having that provides a little bit more security to the community, only one access point at that southern end, or the eastern end. And I think you brought up a grading issue. There is a grading issue, I think, over there, getting through, but
There's-
the whole thought process was that sidewalk to the existing trail over to the bike storage, and it keeps all that activity to that side, but.
Okay, I guess I'm drilling too much into the weeds on this for this conversation. There, it appears to be another connection right here, grass from your space into the trail itself. I would think you could more formalize that.
It's not necessarily a trail connection, that's actually a spillway, so that has a little bit of stone on it.
Okay.
So for stormwater purposes, an emergency overflow route, it's protected as it goes down that slope.
I guess I would recommend at least exploring a second access point at the other end. I think that would make it a lot more appealing to the residents of this building especially, because it would seem inconvenient at least. And I understand if you're going to go the trail and you're going to go down towards the village anyway, fine. You can go down in the lot, but if you want to go the other direction, to the crossover bridge, for instance, then why wouldn't you make it the other end?
Certainly something that we could look into. I would think that it would not be something that would be a smooth trail. To your point, you might have some stairs or some
Yeah.
steep slope to it, but certainly a small little pathway could definitely provide that.
Well, there's a 20-something foot grade separation between the one trail and the other where that bridge goes over on the Auburn and the Lehigh, northwest of here. So they make it with a long ramp. This is clearly not nearly that kind of a grade separation, so I would request that you look at that a little more carefully. Anyway, anything else from the board, Wes?
Yeah, I could talk a little bit about sanitary sewer.
Can I ask you about that?
This is a very dynamic situation, right? Fluid. Lots going on with sanitary sewer in the town of Victor. If I could ask maybe Susie to share my screen, my desktop screen here, my laptop screen, just give you an indication of where we're at with in the district and what this project would connect to. So you see the red dot kind of in the center there. That's essentially the project location generally. And we know that they're looking to connect to the gravity system here that drains over towards PS 27. You've provided us some updated information. We're looking at that. We're evaluating that. And then from 27, it's pumped this direction to PS 30 on Route 251, which is then pumped all the way to pretty much the opposite side of town to the wastewater treatment plant. So I think we're feeling, we met today internally and we talked about the belts and sheaves improvements on both 27 and PS 30. And we're generally feeling at this moment that the belts and sheaves improvements would allow for this project to connect, to replace some of the capacity, because the way this pump station is running now, it wouldn't be able to accept the flows, right? Or if it did, it would probably be overtaxed. So the belts and sheaves will make the pump run faster, and that'll restore a little bit of capacity to accommodate the project. And so there's other projects that are happening in the town as well, right? Because PS 27 also takes flows from PS 22, which goes to PS 28, which all come to PS 27 as well. So there's, even with those belts and sheaves improvements, there's going to be limited availability or capacity for PS 27 to take on future projects. So we're trying to figure out just how much room there is in remaining capacity after the belts and sheaves improvements. And then PS 30 is going to be, I think PS 30 is going to be okay. That's a much larger pump station. So we're still trying to evaluate that. One of the questions I wanted to ask you, though, or have you investigate, is there any possibility for you as a developer to investigate maybe running a gravity system instead of going this direction of 27? Can you run it this direction where this blue line is directly to PS 30? I don't know if that's possible, but
I don't know if that's possible as well. Just
Yeah.
without,
That would,
And I-
that would save, that would save the ability to, relieve PS 27 from the flows of this particular project alone and leave some capacity for other development in the future out on this side of the
To
town.
interrupt you for a second, what happens when they build this? Where does the sanitary go? Does it go just into a gravity system which makes its way to PS 27?
Yep, it enters this existing gravity system, which is the
Okay.
green line, the series of green lines and dots, which are manholes.
And that gravity system has got the capacity to gravity feed 27 from the site?
Yeah, I haven't gotten any indication that it wouldn't.
Okay. So I'm just trying to
Yep.
figure out the difference in the dynamics of doing this and the amount of infrastructure you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because at one point, I thought we talked about having to pump it way up to one of the other pump stations. Unless that's a different project I'm thinking of. It just seemed like there was a project where we had to look at,
Is that the Rawson Road
oh,
project?
that was Rawson.
Oh, Rawson, yeah, we did talk about some alternatives there.
That went into the village system rather
Yep.
than the town.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm mistaken there, but I needed to know how it's getting to 27.
Yeah.
They weren't building a long line, they're just tapping into something that's right on the road there,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Looks like something worth exploring.
Potentially, right? We know that this exists, if we zoom in really close on this map, you can see that the existing gravity system, already flows this direction, right, to that northwestern direction. So it might be counterintuitive to send a gravity, in the opposite direction. There's I think this is a private grinder pump station over here on this property that pumps into this gravity system. So just something to think about. We can talk about that some more offline, maybe.
yeah.
So, that's all I've got for right now.
Okay. I just think this is something that we need to be confident there's not going to be an excessive impact for future development that was counting on the reason that whole trunk line was installed.
Right.
And unless future development would have forced, in any case, the upgrading of PS 27, for instance, to be a high, now, you said you're increasing capacity with belts and sheaves. It's a mechanical upgrade, right?
Correct.
It's not a pipes and all that kind of stuff that have to get bigger and,
Yeah, no, there wouldn't be any change to the pipe sizes or the pumps
yeah.
if we're talking just the belts and sheaves.
But I think, from my perspective, the biggest part of this project is proving that this works and is acceptable to the town for the future impact of throwing 154 apartments or whatever it is in there. That's a lot of flow.
Yeah.
And it
Something-
was a industrial. So 10 toilets instead of 150 or whatever.
Depending on the
Right.
industrial use,
Yeah.
it could vary.
And nobody knows what the
significantly.
flows might have been out of there too. I mean, look at car washes. Those things have their own issues. So, and we got two of them on this line. So, anyway, yeah, I think that's one of the biggest issues that we need to be confident can be solved in addition to others that may arise. So, thank you, Wes. Appreciate that. This is an open public hearing. Unless there's anything else from the board, I'll open it up. See if anyone has any questions for the applicant at this time. There's no action this evening for it. Dave. Gotta hear from you. This is great.
Dave Nankin from 1174 Chaucer Court. I would like to know if we can have a discussion about the build-out of these three buildings. Excuse me. Will they all be built out at the same time, or will one be built and at a certain point in time they'll build another and another? And are the personal or covered parking places are in the shaded area of the apartments? Is that what the
Talking about like right in
yes,
here?
right there. Yeah,
There,
those are the
here.
covered
Yeah, there's
parking.
like-
And who determines who gets that? I mean, is there an extra fee that's going to be added to the rent for something like that? Yeah, there is. And I'll tell you, I think it's really nice, I'll be honest with you. But, you know, I've been in this town for about 30 years. And when I came here, it's a small town atmosphere. It was really, really nice. I could have gone anywhere, I suppose, being retired, but I like being here. And I don't want really the atmosphere of this town changed. If you give permission for a 4-story building, then other people are going to, you open up a Pandora box. How do you stop somebody else to put up a 4-story building? That's it, right? And I think if you want a 4-story building in Victor, then it should go to the town board, Jennifer, and it should be opened up to the town to decide that, yes, we will accept a 4-story building. But in the meantime, the code says 3 stories. And I personally, as much as I like this, and I wish the builder well, I still would like to see just a 3-story. This town is just, the profile of a 4-story is, I think, overwhelming.
I assume you're aware that the town board was the one that directed the PDD with the 4-story building right
I understand.
into it.
But
So
it
kind of
it's
did
still-
go to the town board
Yeah.
with other opinions,
But-
contrarian opinions from this board, for the 4-story issue, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we'll direct it or approve, but
Yeah, right. I mean, they got our comments and discussion and concerns. I'm pretty sure that the sewer or sanitary issue never came up in our conversations. And it's something we've obviously since learned. But I think we'll be keyed in on that for the future. Any other applications that may come in, and they're running into issues up at High Point, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
I know, and
You- point
there's
well
another
taken, Dave.
60 units that was proposed for Main Street by Mancini on his lot.
that's gone. I mean,
Oh, I'm happy, okay. That's-
I mean,
but-
for now.
And just one other thing, there's been a lot of discussion about the availability of the electrical service. Is that secured for a project like this also?
I'm not following.
Well,
Is there enough power
they're
in
having a
town?
problem, building, having, and Parrington, I believe, and in Pittsford and Henrietta, securing enough electrical service for
Yeah,
their building. And does Victor have,
ask our genie. I mean, there's enough issues with the substation down on my street that we get power outages from time to time. And I don't know if that's capacity or other things, but
If I recall correctly, I believe Matt Tomlinson was here months ago and mentioned that he had a will serve letter from the utility company. Cole, does that sound correct?
We are working.
you need to be in the mic, sorry.
We are currently working with our genie to
Mhm.
secure that or to finalize the exact loads.
Okay. So, power is an issue. Thanks, Dave. Anyone else?
Scott Reinhardt, 7342 Dryer Road, Victor Hiking Trails. Just want to let you know that we're very interested in developing the easement on that portion, and we've been out there and we've looked at it, and we have a meeting with Mr. DeFelice tomorrow to talk about the development of that easement, because we want to maintain public access to the trail through there. And that would also solve the problem of the people on that side of the
Are you
complex.
talking an easement, meaning something up here?
It's right on the edge of the property. There's an easement.
here.
Yep, right along there. We've walked through it,
Okay.
and we're hoping that we can get some cooperation from the developers to help us clear it out and open it up if the project goes forward.
All right, well, that may solve my question or concern, and others too. So, thanks, Scott, I appreciate it. So another hand, sir? Step right up and name and address and whatever you got.
All right. Sam Dragos, 1085 Lozano Circle. Question in regards to future developments, just specifically for Victor as a whole. a lot of units of residents here in the town of Victor are, at least from what I've seen, single-family homes and whatnot, right? Is the current trajectory for Victor to continue on a path for developments such as these? The reason why I'm asking is with the community, the town community being single-family homes, people come in, buy a home with a mortgage or with cash. They're in the home, they're in the community for years, you know, on average. So we get to know the people. With these types of residential units, anyone can come in for a year, leave. Another another family will come in, you know. So like, as a town, we don't know really who's coming into Victor. So it kind of seems a little uncontrolled, like from that standpoint. Not to say that, you know, we're in a position to control who comes into the town of Victor, but from a community standpoint, you kind of lose that community feeling. Just a question.
It's a difficult thing to talk about control. I mean, people are free to move about
Exactly.
the country. I don't believe we are in a position where we can restrict in any way who comes into your town and who doesn't. You can choose the type of developments and the density of development and look at needs in the comprehensive plans.
I was going to say, I guess the point here, right, is that the town doesn't determine what's going to go on that site, right? A developer brings a proposal to the town, and then again, if it meets the criteria, then, you know, it gets approved or not. But, you know, the town doesn't actually say, hey, let's go build high-rises over here, or let's go build apartments. I mean, it's really up to the landowners to determine, right, what, within the zoning laws, what's available to do on that property.
Well, I understand. My question was, is this the trajectory for Victor?
We don't know. You have to ask the developers that, I guess, right?
Well, let's put it this way. We have pretty significant zoning maps and regions, different densities in different parts of the town. Your density is different than the town in the south end of the town, you know, it's
Right.
less dense. If somebody wanted to put an apartment building off the stub road next to your development, that's not zoned for that. You'd
But it would have to get
change-
rezoned.
You'd have to get rezoned. This parcel was rezoned by the town board for apartments as a planned development district, PDD, that's why we refer to it that way. And the developer brought it forward as a means of putting apartments where now it's zoned, or has been zoned as light industrial, due to a need they perceived that the town needed and that they could provide. We didn't have to approve a rezoning. Town board chose to do that.
Oh, so it's dependent on the zones?
Yes.
On
It's-
what gets built on?
Yeah,
Okay.
And if you're interested in more about zoning, the town zoning map is online, all of that type of information. And you're certainly free to stop into the planning department and talk to a code enforcement officer who might be available, or set up an appointment anyway, and discuss further where you are, what's zoned around you, that kind of thing. So,
Interesting.
That help?
Okay. Cool. Thank you for
all
answering.
right, you're welcome. Sort of waded into a different development there, but is there any other questions, comments from the public? I think we leave this open for further available, you know, as this progresses, because we're not certainly approving this tonight. There will be more opportunities for the public to make comments, so. Anything else from the board?
No, I think it was a good discussion.
Yeah, okay. In that case, I think we can move on to the next application, and we'll see you again. So, thank you. Appreciate the updates and the graphics. Our last item this evening, Nova Rise preliminary subdivision, 973 Brownsville Road. Morel Team is the owner, along with Morel Team in Motion RKH Golf Inc. So applicants requesting approval to construct 74 clustered subdivision on a 158.2 acre parcel that includes 3 parcels. Tonight's action is only to declare that the town planning board is the lead agency. So we will be voting on that, but we're also going to hear if there's any updates from our last meeting, so.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the board. My name is Cole Pepisurgi, still. With me today is Bill, Reno, Carly, and Rich, also from Morel Team in Motion. We're here today to talk about the 73-lot subdivision known as Nova Rise on Brownsville Road. Give a brief recap. I'll talk a little bit about that secondary connection point to Brownsville Road that has been brought up a couple times, and then I'll turn it over to Carly and Bill to discuss some perspectives. To start the project overview, again, in between Plaster Mill and I-90 on Brownsville Road, 73 lots, one of which is an existing lot, and then we're banking 6 lots for a total density of 79. That's permitted across all 158 acres shown. I've kind of given the whole spiel, so I'll keep it short. We have received Labella's comments since the last meeting, most of which are technical in nature, but we're happy to talk to or answer any questions about any of those. And next I'll talk a little bit about the cul-de-sac road. So I had provided this to Lisa. This is a extension of the cul-de-sac road. This was something that I think one of the residents had brought up as a possibility to avoid connecting into the Azano Circle development. So what you see here is extending that roadway out, connecting to Brownsville Road. That would be, Brownsville Road is down here on the profile, and then this is our proposed street, which is this street right here. So connecting to those 2 streets, kind of in a straight line, but providing vertical curves, all to town code. Landing area, there's a 100-foot landing area at the intersections, again, to get town code, general good design practice. That would leave over 8% slope to make that connection, which would exceed the town's maximum design grade. So it's not feasible from a town code perspective. I'd also like to highlight a couple other things about this as I was kind of putting it together. There's a cut of about 50 feet. So there's a ridge right here. You can see it's kind of white on the plan view. And there's a red drainage. This is about, this drainage area takes about 16 acres of drainage, and it goes right down that valley, and then it comes back up. So you can kind of see that on the profile, comes down, and there's that valley. There'd probably be about 50 feet of cut to make that work, cutting through that ridge. That's a very, very significant amount of cut for a project. All of that dirt would need to go somewhere that would, you would have to put that up on top of the development, which would further raise that road and further complicate the slope issue. But it would also, this would also include clearing over 400 feet at the widest point there of vegetation as you come down that road, which is something that the town has historically wanted to prevent, having to clear any woods or forests. So problematic in that case as well. So, I mean.
Well, a quick question for
Yeah.
you. This is a excellent graphic. What you just pointed out on the top depiction in the color, the shaded area, is that the portion that would just need to be graded horizontally?
Yeah, so what you see is graded. It's actually a bunch of small lines. It's just so far away that you can't see it. Those are actually a bunch of contours, and there's so many of them that it just becomes grayed out.
So what's the slope on that?
Uh,
Contour.
We have that at a 1-on-4 slope, and we probably, we would actually want to bench that, and it could even go out even farther because that's a pretty significant slope at a constant percent, 50 feet of grade change between the point on the roadway to right there.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
So you'd have to reroute the drainage through there, that little valley. I mean, there's no way you could cut that and maintain drainage. They'd have to come down Brownsville Road before, which to me would be more disturbance. And I'm with Wes in terms of, this is a great graphic. And you've pretty much wiped out half a dozen homes at least doing that, because there's no way you're going to put a house on a 4-on-1 slope or 1-on-4, however you got it. So you're eliminating quite a bit of that subdivision to do that.
Yeah, and from an engineering perspective, if I was trying to make this work, we would actually want the road to come up to that drainage point, but that would make that slope like 20% and, way, way, way too steep for a roadway. Just, to put succinctly, it's really not a feasible connection. It's not, up on the north side of the site, it's much more gradual. There's no existing ravine, so it's much easier to make that connection.
And last week, several of us joined you guys out in the field for a site walk and got a better feel for where the homes are being proposed and the relative gentle topography. Al and I went from this board. Conservation Board was also there. So, it was pretty obvious everything was going to in a cleared area. As soon as you got to the woods, it drops off. It's something that you wouldn't be touching, except a couple lines of trees they talked about through the site. So, much better perspective on where you're putting things and what you're proposing. So.
With that, I'll turn it over to Bill and Carly. They're going to talk a little bit about perspectives that was discussed and brought up at the last meeting.
Hi, I'm Carly Moynihan with Morel Builders. Thank you for your time tonight.
And Bill Areno, Morel Builders.
We did have one other presentation, if you could pull that up, please. Oh, yes, sorry about that. Oh, thank you. And then if you wouldn't mind clicking the link, I know it might take you. So as we discussed last meeting, there are residents that might, and you guys kind of wanted to get a feel for what the neighborhood might look like once it's developed. And from the stub road, kind of a view looking up the street from Mazzano Rise on the stub road and into Nova Rise. So this rendering here, Susie, if you wouldn't mind, just kind of, if you click and drag on the photo itself, it's a 360 view. Yep.
So this is looking towards Mazzano.
So right
Circle.
now, yes, so this, the white fence is an existing home on Mazzano Rise, and then there is the stub road to the right of that. And as you continue to turn that as well, you can see the next home on Mazzano Rise that's on the other side of the stub road.
Sidewalk on the opposite side as
So
well.
yes, you keep going. You can kind of see the view up into Nova Rise. And so the first home on your left there, you can see that the distance between the existing home, the first one on to the left of the stub road, and the first home in our neighborhood. And then there are some tree buffers in between. We just kind of wanted to give that feel for what the spacing might feel like, and potential proposed trees and tree lines that we could put in there to help buffer and create some privacy between the two communities.
When we were out there, obviously there is some existing tree row, mostly, if not all, deciduous. So what we were going to propose is, once we get closer to final, actually getting out there, if we did go this route, actually getting out there with the homeowners that are backing to that space. There's really 4 homeowners that are drastically impacted, obviously. And we would want to work with the tree row that's existing, and we're proposing doing some 5-foot-high berms that are as much as 20 feet long, incorporating 4 to 5 of those berms with between 20 and 30 pine trees to infill with the deciduous to create a privacy for both sides. I think the way we designed this, I'm thrilled with the spacing that's there. We obviously went to the, now we have the 100-foot conservation easement, and then there's still spacing to the homes. And on the right-hand side, there are 2 are set back quite a ways. So it still has impact, but I think not as much. The left, those first 3 homes, because their backyards are quite short, they're more impacted. So most of the trees, I think, would be on that side. Probably 20 of the 30 trees would be on that side, and probably 1 berm on the right and 2, 3, potentially 4 berms on the left. But that would be, more closer to final. I'd welcome the homeowners to walk with us, as if a town person wanted to be there as well, so that we can put those in locations that would be best interest to the town, making sure that drainage still works, obviously, but that creates a buffer for the existing homeowners on Azano, and then the new homeowners in Nova Rise as well.
I guess one thing I could add too, as you kind of visualize the community in the distance, the homes that are back there now, we did use one of our many kind of floor plans and elevations that we do offer homeowners to build with us. And so you could imagine kind of a variety of neutral homes and different exterior layouts. So it's not kind of copy paste. It's a nice variety, so it's not so static.
We made a substantial investment to try and give a realistic, authentic look of what the subdivisions, the communication between the 2 subdivisions would look like. But we don't have artistic renderings of the homes. It's going to be similar to our Wolfsburger Park neighborhood in Nia Falls.
So is this perspective standing pretty much on the edge of the conservation
It is.
line?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yep.
it's 50 foot into the property. I'm just trying to give the other residents a perspective as to where this is coming from. And now looking in to the north?
Yes.
Towards the whole development. I don't know if, Susie, can you keep rotating? Sorry, are you the one that's controlling that? Yeah, okay. I'm just curious, if you looked east, a little bit, keep going,
Yep.
a little more. All right, is that the active tree line that's there now?
No, it's not. There's, on that side, there is some deciduous, but it's sparse.
Those
Yep.
2 houses in the background, is that a flag lot or a couple flag
There are
lots?
2 flag lots set back quite a ways. If you look at the subdivision map, those are quite a ways back from the first house on Azano in the corner there. Yep.
So this is a perspective looking at the first homes you would see coming into the development on the
Yes.
right side.
Yep, exactly.
A little more, Susie, can you rotate some more?
And then,
And then there's the fence.
Yep.
Okay. And that fence is at
That's
least
existing.
50 feet from the property line, because there's a 50-foot buffer, right?
yes.
And I don't know if those trees are actually there, but,
They're not. It's just a proposal. I mean, we want to get out there and do a field walk, and we weren't able to really show the 5-foot-high area there that we'll plant the trees on. But we can get out there in the field. We can show it on the maps as we get closer to final,
Right.
and make sure that they're in the right spot. We want to make sure drainage still works, obviously, not have any issues with that. But the berm with 5-foot berm, and then adding the 6-7 foot pines on top of that, obviously will grow over time, but I
Okay.
think it'll help. So I think the spacing for backing up to a subdivision is an ideal situation, but certainly putting more investment into that so we can create some separation.
okay. Another rendering you wanted to bring forward?
Do we have any other? No, that was
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah.
So that's what, all right, well, this is clearly helpful in terms of getting a sense of where things are.
We did have, I mean,
entrance.
specific spacing. I didn't get this in time today, but there is some specific spacing, you know, on our subdivision map. The closest house is on this map here, yeah. Thank you.
No, it's this one.
So that house right there, from the back of the existing property on Ozano, is approximately 160 feet from back of one house to the back of the other house.
So I believe this. the
So not
first
lot
home on
line,
the left.
but right from home to home is 160. On the other side, it's considerable. I don't know if we have it. It's 250 feet from the house with the vinyl fence to the house. Yep, from house to house.
Okay.
And then they're greater as you go up, where those flag lots are, in that they're more towards 180 feet from house to
Right.
house.
Anyone from the board have any questions regarding these renderings? Joe?
So the buffer itself, does it be no-touch easements, I take it? So once the trees and all are planted, they would be kind of left alone? I'm looking for the preservation of the easement, because we got 50 feet from the residents of Ozano Circle, and we got 50 feet from the subdivision, and if,
What's the,
we
what
got
is,
theoretically 100 feet, but if, you know, people are allowed to cut the grass or do whatever, the value of that buffer seems to go away.
as I recall, we talked about it, and it's the same type of easement as on the other side, on the Ozano Circle side. So you have
I'm
100.
not sure what
Yeah, and
that is.
I was going to ask that question, so if you, do you know which, how restrictive it is? It's a no-touch, or is it a mowing only and no buildings and?
It would be site-specific. We would propose a site-specific type easement.
I'm just wondering what it is on the existing, on the other side of the property line on the Ozano
You
Circle.
asking for a Ozano Circle easement? That is something I can pull up for the board. I can get that information for you,
That would be-
if it's restrictive
I
or
kind of want to
site-specific.
match whatever one that is, or more restrictive, depends on, you know, what it is. So,
Sure, because the effectiveness of the buffer then goes away or gets
Yeah.
degraded if you're,
Correct,
if,
yeah. So if they were to put in some landscaping, it's still, once the landscaping is all done and the grading and everything else, there would be that conservation easement.
Mhm.
We'd have to make sure it was restrictive enough it would maintain all that buffer, right?
that would be the point, sure.
Yeah.
And consistent with current town regulations, we would have conservation easement markers
Yes.
to further delineate that and
Mhm.
prevent mowing, et cetera. Can never probably enforce that too much, as I'm sure Keith could attest to.
Okay. They have to make sense, too. You don't want them zigzagging all over the place. It's better to have straight lines in different areas for those types of easements across lots. Scott, any thoughts, questions?
I thought that the graphic that you did on the cuts and the fills for the extension, I think that was very helpful. I have really nothing further.
Trish? Questions? Voice Hollow?
No, I stopped by, actually, I wasn't able to do the sidewalk, but I did stop by today and walked the area just where it connected and drove around, and so it was good to be able to see that in person and see how that connects. And, you know, obviously, when you drive by, it was clearly that was intended for that purpose when you see, you know, there for that intent at one time, you know.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. What else you got?
Just an update. I am meeting with Genesee Land Trust and walking the site next week. This will be the second round with them, so things seem to be going well. They do take a bit of a process, but they sounds like they do want to take dedication to the open space, and obviously we're continuing to work with the Victor Trails to maintain the trails that we install
Okay.
in the public space.
I just wanted to give Wes an opportunity to kind of address the public in terms of where we are in this process. Because it's always difficult on a big project, knowing where we are and what opportunities there will be to make changes or comments or all of that from the public's perspective, so.
Sure.
Wes?
Yeah, so as the planning board members know, and as maybe the public already knows, so this subdivision project is a three-step process, right? It's a major subdivision. This is a great graphic, thank you. The planning office, the building and planning office also has hard copies of these sheets, or can make copies of these sheets if they don't have them available. So,
Can you read it?
I'm getting older because I can't read the screen. But anyway, it's a three-step process.
Lisa's got a
There we
copy
go.
here.
Thank
Look
you.
at that.
Right, on the very left, you see the yellow square, the sketch plan. That's step one of the three-step process. Step two begins here. That's the preliminary plan application that's submitted. And this is where we are right now, right? Well, actually, we're kind of in this preliminary plan review. We're in this stage, right? And as part of this, the planning board is required to have a public hearing, which is currently open, and that public hearing is not going to be closed tonight. And as part of the review, eventually, we're going to get into the seeker environmental assessment form. The applicant has submitted part one of the EAF, and the planning board at a future meeting will be looking at and considering parts 2 and 3 of the EAF before making any type of decision on the preliminary plan, right? And this is where this is the heavy review of the project. The substantive part of the subdivision gets reviewed. We talk about density. We're talking about access to the community, and the layout and configuration of the utilities, site amenities, landscaping, that sort of thing. So at some point, when the planning board makes a seeker determination, if it's a negative declaration of environmental significance, meaning that there is no significant adverse environmental impact, that would conclude this seeker process here. If for some reason there is a significant adverse environmental impact, they would get into the environmental impact statement process and produce some seeker findings before they would be able to make a decision on this preliminary application. And at some point, if the preliminary plan ever gets approved, the applicant would submit a final application, which is the third step of the three-step major subdivision process. And that's where, we're crossing our Ts, dotting our Is, and satisfying conditions that may have been identified in the preliminary plat approval. So again, we're kind of in this area here with the preliminary plan review, and then this is the final plan review over here in the orange, and then this pink is basically the planning board chairperson signing the Mylars if the planning board approves the final subdivision. So that's
Okay.
where we are
Yeah.
tonight. And so I guess one of the other things that we can do as well as part of the preliminary plan review is at a future meeting, I'd be happy to talk about some of the planning documents that have been assembled over the years to go over the history of connectivity, planning, subdivisions, and also go through the history of the Tuscany Hills review as well, so
Yeah.
that we fully understand where everything came from in this area.
And just for the public's information, we will address questions that came up from all of your letters and may come up in future meetings. As I stated at the beginning, this evening is more of us being able to declare that we are lead agency. It's an open public hearing. My intent is just to give an opportunity, if there's anything about this process that you have questions on, now's not a bad time to come up and ask. Regarding all the technical stuff that will come up in future meetings, I would ask that we hold off on any other questions about that, because I don't think we're prepared to discuss those items this evening. So if there's anyone that has a question about the process and where we are, and I'd be glad to entertain that.
Evening.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Joe Roth. That's a little loud. 1073 Azano Circle. I do have a few questions. My first one was about the overall process. Generally, if everything gets approved with the seeker process quickly, what would we be looking at in terms of like a general timeline that you could give us before earthworks, roadworks, that kind of stuff can actually begin on the building site?
Well, certainly none of that can happen until that chairman's signature up there.
Yeah.
And the pink.
Yeah. Well,
And that,
quickest you've ever seen, what would that turnaround time be like?
year,
Wow, okay.
it's,
Yeah, maybe next spring. I would kind of ask the developer too, in terms of what, let's say everything went according to your plan and your desire. How soon would you be in the ground?
We would move as quickly as we could. Right now, one of the problems, which we heard earlier, is retaining the ability to get utilities to the site. And currently, we have a serve letters, and we have to move through this process and then move to the point of starting it in order to continue securing that power. So, yes, I mean, if we could get approvals, we would start a year from now if that timeframe worked. Yes.
Okay. Great. And we would, there'll be plenty of meetings before then where we'll all be
Absolutely.
approving this and,
little boxes are meetings and more
Okay.
multiple meetings, some of them, so,
excellent. I look forward to all of those.
okay.
It's gonna be a fun year. My next question is for Morel. I went through Wolfsburger Park a few weeks ago, and a lot of the homes on the main road, Chase Meadows, the new road, they're similar in size, but there are a handful of them that appear to be combined lots. Is that something that you guys are open to for this development? Are you open to, like, if a homeowner wants to purchase two adjacent lots, are you open to building a bigger home there? Is it allowed once the original plan is already
It'd be less
approved?
density.
I would be
not
all
a
for
plan.
it. I'm just curious if.
You could
if
cut
it's
them all in
something-
half, but that's not
Yeah.
something that the developer's gonna do. It's,
I mean, there are townhomes in Wolfsburger Park, and those are not proposed for this community. So those are the 2-unit townhomes, that's not
Right,
proposed here.
right. I'm talking about, there were some homes that looked like they could have been in like Piper Meadows over here by the school.
Sure.
Like a good deal bigger than their neighbors, single-family homes. I know that when we were purchasing in Tuscany Hills, there was the option to, like, if you wanted to combine two lots and put up a bigger home, or even deviate from their offerings for a bigger home if it fit on the lot, they were okay with that. Do you have like a set, like 5 homes you're offering, or if people wanted to go bigger, would you allow that?
Just like we did at Wolfsburger Park, we did some ranches, and of course, we have to meet the required setbacks, front, side, and rear setback. But yes, we do sometimes customize the
Okay.
designs, especially with the ranches. The colonials, you probably only saw maybe 7 or 8 of the traditional wider colonial.
Yeah.
Because they just don't fit in the neighborhood as well.
Okay.
But more side-load garages, that's why we went to the 75-foot wide.
Okay.
site.
Thank you. Actually, sorry, Bill. The next one's
come back here.
Next one's for you as well. There's another, a question on, which is the laser pointer? Can we pull up the plan again of the proposed site plan? Thank you. So we looked at the access road going down right here. Even if there was an access road there, there's still a major problem that, what are buses and garbage trucks and big moving trucks going to do when they're coming down here, right? If you were to add another access point here, that doesn't get rid of the need for connectivity to Lozano Circle in any way. It would still need to be there. So my question is, for this overall layout, since this is what we're getting seeker approval for, was there ever a study that had like a cul-de-sac here, something for those types of utility trucks, not just emergency vehicles, but utility vehicles to turn around? Like, is there any feasibility for that, or is it?
Are you saying eliminating the connection to Lozano Circle and putting a cul-de-sac at the end?
So, right, because the way that I understand it is, eliminating the connectivity has no shot if there's no way. We've discussed emergency vehicles. but what are you going to do with your garbage trucks, your plows, all that other stuff that has to turn around?
There are
right?
some developments in town that fairly remote. You go to Cobblestone Creek subdivision way up on top, and I
Yeah.
think there's like hammerheads at the end where the trucks can actually turn around
Okay.
and do that sort of thing. That's, I guess, I'll call that more rare, but
Yeah.
it's one way to accommodate it without so much space, like a big lollipop
Okay.
there'd be, you know.
Okay, so there are ways to do it other than a cul-de-sac. You could put like you called it a hammerhead?
Yeah.
Like right here. So then, okay. That's,
That doesn't eliminate the need for the connection at
No.
this point, so.
no, it doesn't.
yeah.
It doesn't. So the next question kind of ties into that. If there was a hammerhead or a cul-de-sac, like if there was a lot of public pressure and a lot of, we've sent a few petitions in to try to just get rid of that connectivity. Is the town board able to say, hey, Morel, you guys have to put forward a formal plan like this that shows a cul-de-sac or a hammerhead? Is that within the rights of the board, or since that stub road is already there, and it's a big win for for Morel, if you think you guys have that access point right there, it's a pretty easy thing to tap into. So I'm curious if there is a threshold, let's call it, of let's say a threshold of public outcry. Like what's that limit that would need to be hit for the town board to be compelled to say, you guys got to abandon the connectivity to Azano Circle and you got to think of something else there?
I think
Or is
we'd-
there not one?
I think we'd know the volume if you knew what the limit was going to be. The town code is pretty clear about connectivity and the number of homes and that sort of thing.
Okay.
So.
Okay, so
It's
there,
hard to go against something like that, if it's more than a couple, like in your subdivision's case, it was a few houses over that limit. So.
right.
That wasn't such a hard thing. This one, 3 times as many homes.
Right, and it's also, I think that a lot of us are feeling as though we don't need the second means of connectivity, right? But you have this bigger development here. This development needs it. And then when you're adding on phase 2? Was it just under 20 homes there
So
eventually?
we don't own that land?
That's not
Is it
theirs.
this one? Whatever this street here.
There's a
was for.
stub there to connect for a future subdivision opportunity
Okay.
by someone else.
Okay, all right, so once there are even more homes there, that's even more of a need for 2 points of access, but again, it's for this, it's not really for us. When I went through Wolfsburger, I noticed that there was a section that was built in the 1990s that Google Earth helped me out with. It was in the 1990s, they built a section, and one of the roads has a stub road, just like our street has. And then when you guys came in, there's the roundabout. You pull into Wolfsburger, you go around the roundabout, there's a little, I think it's called a pinch road, where it goes from 2 lanes to 1 lane. And it's a road, it's a paved road. It looks really nice, but I think that that's something that we could really consider doing right here. If we were to go to a 1-lane paved road, make it look like a nice sidewalk, we could even put no through traffic signs on it. And it would kind of, maybe shame is the wrong word, but kind of shame people from driving from this section down through our street. We make it look more like a crosswalk or a walking zone or a bike trail, but it allows for that constant connectivity for those bigger utility vehicles for emergency access. You don't have to worry about the traffic bollards, running over those every time you have a garbage truck or a school bus going around. I'm curious if that's something that could be considered and implemented here, because it seems like it would work, seems like it does work in Honeyway Falls. I mean, case in point, I turned around before driving through it. I just went to it, did a little K-turn, and left. I think that could be a nice compromise there that allows you all to have your 2-point access. There's still truly 2-point access. People could still drive on it. It's more of an honor system, if anything, for the cars. But it would seriously limit it for the people who kind of care about, not wanting to look like, they're just constantly violating the trust of their neighbors or the trust of the neighboring community. It could also get rid of that confusion of, you drive up into Azano Circle, you're in Tuscany Hills, and then you turn, you're into Nova Rise then. Are there going to be multiple signs? What's this street called? Is this called a Fronty Way or a Fronty? I don't even know what it's called. Is it
It'd be
Fronty
totally a new name.
Yeah, exactly. So it could kind of get rid of that confusion and cause that same separation. And I guess, was there the same kind of concern for that when you guys were building that? Was that Pinch Road kind of not forced, but did it come about in like a, kind of an atmosphere like this where they didn't want the construction vehicles, they didn't want the through traffic, things like that? Or was it kind of like, is that more of a precedent out there in Honeoye Falls?
Yeah, there's 118 units there, and
Yeah.
so that was a concern that
Okay.
so that was-
We're kind of getting more into the weeds than I really wanted to at this meeting.
Okay.
For this issue, just know that we've gotten comments already from the fire department and the town highway department regarding that pinch point or I won't call it lack of interest, but discouraging going that route. And we'll have more conversations about that connection as we go through this.
Okay.
Just know that we've already had some comments from the town department, relevant departments about that.
Okay.
So yes,
Thank you.
it's being talked about. It has been commented on.
Okay.
So I'll leave it at that.
All right, we will table that for the time being then, I guess. And I do want to say thank you guys for the renderings. That is really helpful to see. As one of the homes that's bordered by this community, I'm more than open to walk that site at any time and just kind of point out my concerns. And I know that my neighbors are as well. So thank you for listening to that, and thank you, board.
Okay, if there's any other questions about the process? Hi.
I'm Chris Burke from 1080 Forest Honda Circle. I've lived there since 2022. I just want to start with saying our neighborhood has an amazing sense of community, and part of the key for that for me is that it's a one-street cul-de-sac. One-street cul-de-sacs are probably the most desirable type of property in this country. So, the fact that this board is considering ruining that for us and not serving the citizens of this town is a little bit concerning to me. The question I have is, this board is acting like the starting point is this rendering, but really the starting point is untouched pastures and woodlands that haven't been touched for a long time. So it's a little concerning to me that we jump to, the developer says this is the plan and here's why we can't do anything different than what we originally proposed. It seems like the board isn't being flexible in terms of what can actually be done and what can provide the most value to the community.
We're responding to an application and the details thereof. We're not we're not dictating what goes there. That's the difference in what it sounds like you're saying. Is it feasible? Sure, it's feasible for many reasons, but it could be infeasible for other things we haven't even talked about yet. So that stub was put there, and I think I said this the first time they came before the board. That stub was put there in anticipation of creating more connectivity in the town and for future development, which is why it's there. And the code was set up to limit the number of homes on a cul-de-sac for a reason, and mostly it's for emergency response and the ability for access to those homes. And if you start putting more homes on streets without additional entry/exit points, it's more it's a higher risk to those people living there, especially the person way at the end. And if you have a blockage of the road halfway down, you got all those people that can't get in or out from an emergency perspective if something happens. So,
And part of my point in what I'm saying is, when that stub road was originally put there, it's safe to assume that it was to build a neighborhood continuous with Azano, right? The same size lots, same spread of housings, distance between lots. Not to put a much
Not
more,
necessarily,
not
it's,
to put a much more dense neighborhood right next to it, that's gonna have a lot more traffic. That's kind of a much more bigger impact on the traffic going through our neighborhood.
well, just remember that
But just the
there,
fact that the stub road
there-
there, my point is, doesn't mean that it makes this neighborhood okay inherently.
that density is no more dense than yours. It's just
Sure it
that
is.
the lots are smaller, but
That makes it
a
more
lot
dense.
of the conservation areas are elsewhere, and if you take all of that area that they're not developing and add it up, they're able to put that many homes in a smaller area.
That's circular logic. If each of those lots were on 1+ acre lots, then there would be 40 homes there instead of 65.
Right, then you'd put them across the street and everywhere else, and it'd impact more
And then that
property.
would distribute the traffic, the main concern,
Yeah.
evenly.
Understood. I get your point.
Okay.
But it would be impacting more land. And that's the part of a cluster subdivision, is it impacts less land and allows the preservation of more conservation areas, more trees, more everything,
But then what is the purpose of this board?
to review and plan for the town development.
Is part of that to maintain the character of the town?
Part of it is part of the, we also have put together the comprehensive plan, and it's based on public input for the character of the town is a big part of it. Al, you want to chime in?
No, I was just gonna say, but having been on the board for a few years now, before the first shovel went in the ground on Zazano Circle, there were different people in the audience that lived in the community around it having these same discussion points. So, I mean, this is kind of the nature of an evolving community that's being built out, right? That
Right, and that's part of.
things do change, right?
That's part of the beauty of this process, is things can change, right? If somebody wanted to rezone that and put a trailer park there, they could petition the
No,
board and do
Yeah,
that.
they could petition. We wouldn't
But-
accept a rezoning like that.
Okay,
It's not suitable.
right.
But
And
this is not rezoning.
Not far from,
It's not rezoning, though.
but it's not far from that same concept.
I
It's-
wouldn't
it's-
say, I
It's a
disagree.
drastically different character to the neighborhood that currently exists there.
Disagree.
Okay, you're welcome to that opinion, but
Okay.
the members of the community that live there now disagree that it is a drastic change to the character of that neighborhood.
Okay, thank you.
Last question for Bill. Can you pull up the rendering between the two neighborhoods?
Yeah, I also need to point out that typically you get 3 to 5 minutes for public comment. This meeting can go on quite a long time if everyone took 15 or 20, so not that you are.
I don't have time, so I don't know how long I've been going.
Yeah, that's okay. I asked to address the process tonight and go in more detail and technicals on future meetings.
Okay, I just want to make one more point. It'll be quick.
All right.
If someone could pull up the
Do
the
you
one
want
that
the
shows the rendering between the two neighborhoods?
What's the video that you?
the 3D, the 360 rendering? Yeah. What were you looking for?
Thank you. So if you could spin to the left a little bit.
So that way?
That white fence is the back of an existing Lozano home.
Correct.
At the conservation board meeting, Bill said there would be a 100-foot easement, conservation easement.
50 foot each side, right?
There is an existing 50-foot conservation easement.
And it
There's a
was-
marker right, actually, it's not shown in this picture, but there's a marker right near that fence there, probably not far off that fence, and then.
Yeah, my
that's the
point is
start
that
of the conservation easement.
two things. It was presented at that meeting, there was 100 feet of woods that were going to be between the two developments, which
100
clearly isn't the case. And the second thing is, we said there's, from the house to the right there, there's 160 feet from dwelling to dwelling. How do you get 160 feet from dwelling to dwelling with 100 feet easement between them? Their yards are certainly deeper than 30 feet each.
One of them might be right up against it. I don't know. We can look at it in more detail as we go.
I don't need the specifics right now, Bill, but that's my point. Like, it feels like our job as citizens is to go against what, no offense, Bill, but what you're saying, to sell your development to the board. Our job is to perfect our development from what Bill wants to do to our development. That's all.
Those are the dimensions.
Sure, yeah, you can.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi.
Scott Zia and 1077 Azano. So real quick, if this public meeting was just about the process, then we should have been notified of that or some sort of information. Otherwise, we wouldn't have sat here for some of us probably going on 2.5 hours. So that's why we're here. So we're gonna speak because it's an opportunity to speak.
Well,
If
my,
that's understanding. I appreciate that.
I don't know if we're prepared to answer all your questions.
That's fine. Board member Al brought up a great point. Years ago, there was another set of people in here talking about how they didn't want it. The great part about that was they were successful. They are extremely happy. We are extremely happy that was not made a connection. You made residents happy by making that decision.
No, the discussion wasn't about the connectivity, it was the proposed development in general.
That's fine. Connectivity, that decision was made. That was a wonderful decision. That set a precedent. Happy residents. We don't want connectivity. And I guarantee the residents that move in there do not want connectivity. People like privacy. I can't prevent them from building homes. They bought the property. We tried to buy the property. She wouldn't sell it. She was already locked up with Morel, I guess, for years. They can build what they want. Would I hope they respect some sort of privacy and like get a little buffer? I would appreciate that. I think you guys are trying, so I appreciate that. But as far as the road, there is no reason to have a two-way street there. Zero reason. You said at the very first meeting, you were talking about emergency access. That is the whole point, emergency access. You keep on saying that at every meeting.
I do.
No one's discounting emergency access. You can drive a truck right through there. You can drive a garbage truck.
Not when there's
Emergency-
3 feet of snow on the ground. If you don't have,
Through a one-lane road.
you don't have a paved, if you don't
can
have
have
a
a paved
two-lane
road.
road, they're not going to be plowing it.
We're not arguing about a paved road. We're arguing about throughway traffic on a two-way street. That's all we're arguing about.
Yeah, but you can't get emergency access if you don't have it
Sir,
cleared.
I apologize. I was in the military. I know how emergency access works. You can drive an emergency access through a one-way road. It works fine. So do those pillars.
But they're not
They meant to
maintaining
drive
it.
over. There's no pin up top. You keep on bringing up the pin up top. There's no pin up there. You can drive right over those things. We're not even recommending those. We're recommending what Joe's recommending. A single pinch road to deter traffic and say, it's meant for emergency access. That's it. That's all we're asking for. We feel that you're not being reasonable to actually listening to what the residents want. You work for us, you don't work for Morel, correct? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Do you work for the residents? Then you need to listen to the residents. Because I tell you right now, it's setting a bad precedent when you're not listening to the residents. I put my life, my
Excuse me,
money.
I just got to say,
Sure.
we are listening, and we listen very closely to all the feedback we get, right? Again, this is a very early stage. No decisions have been rendered on any of this.
I understand that. Morel keeps on bringing back the same plan. They made a couple changes about like, okay, we're going to put these berms up. I appreciate that. I do. I really do.
But we're not
the
reviewing the
road
site
is-
plan yet.
There's
We're
no
not
other
reviewing
alternatives to
the
the road.
site plan. That's the key point here.
If you can pull up the site plan, my concern, long-term concern, I'm not going anywhere. I'm living here. I'm retiring. I want to die in my house, okay? If you look at the house, if they continue building out 20 more homes, 30 more homes, 50 more homes, they're going to eventually own that whole area. They already have deals all lined up probably to buy that whole section all the way to through it. I don't want all that traffic coming through. That's what's going to happen. As soon as you open it, it's going to open the floodgates.
Well, again.
People like
each
privacy.
time
People like
But each time a site plan comes, so for example, if there is a proposed future development to the north, then the site access to that plot of land and the site layout would have to be done completely independently of anything we're approving on this one.
every time they're going to build a little stub road, so they can come here and argue like, oh, stub road already there. I mean, that's the problem.
That's the point, is to have a stub road there so
People-
that when you buy your property, you know that stub road is there for a reason. That was the whole reason we asked them when we approved your subdivision, that stub road be actually built.
You could
not
make,
just-
we can make 20 different arguments of what we thought that stub road was going to be. Great, big, beautiful homes, cluster home, didn't think that was going to happen. My intent was to buy the property from the old lady. I couldn't get it. It wouldn't work out.
Not something we have control over.
No, I understand that. It's not your fault. But what I'm saying is that there's ways to prevent that continuously happening. And if you keep on bringing up emergency access, not a single person in this audience is arguing about emergency access. There's another way to solve emergency access without having two-way traffic. That's all I got for tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Thank you. I think you had a valid point. We weren't aware that it was just going to be that, and we've been sitting for 2.5 hours, so I appreciate the 3 or 4 minutes that I could just speak my mind for a minute. I really do. When you go to that right there, is there a laser pointer up here?
Yes, there is.
All right, perfect. So I've gone up and down the street maybe 100 times looking at every possible entry point, and when I'm looking at it, you talked about this line here. Is there any other way to get this done? Like, what about if they went this way, as an example? I noted that the homes that are right there have a very soft upgrade that's not indicative of going over 8%. But we are stuck on doing this, it probably is very aggressive. Have we looked at any other possibility? And that would be for morale.
They don't own beyond their property lines.
Cole spent the time engineering this, or looking at the potential of engineering this, which makes, if you went this way, the most sense. So we have invested considerable time into looking at that because of the questions from the last meeting.
Thank you for, I mean, like, have you looked at another entry point like this? Where there's a home right there, it's got a really soft slope that easily goes up here. So this property here, as an example, is very soft compared to here. There, I granted it's the toughest slide because I've seen it and gone into it myself, but right here, very soft, and there's an existing home there, very easily. So I imagine there's not a big slope difference to the adjoining property here, and why don't you look at going that way, I guess?
I can answer that pretty easily. So, we don't look at going to the what would be north of the cul-de-sac road because that does not meet the remoteness requirements for the fire code. And then for the south, we can't really look too much farther because of that 50-foot cut. So that 50-foot cut in grade that has a layout from the design road up to the tie-in. And so for that came out to like halfway through, so you could really only come so much closer to where you would have to grade onto
Other properties.
that other property. And the change in elevation between this, extension for that cul-de-sac road and, 100 feet, 200 feet over is not very significant.
So it's a similar grade separation, no matter where you are along that. Is that what you're saying? So if you're shortening up the distance, it's a steeper grade on that end.
But when I walk it, it doesn't seem that way. So is there any factual way of determining what he's saying rather than it's ordered? I was curious because when I walk it, it seems very obvious to me that it's a much gentle slope on the left hand of the rendering than in the middle. The middle clearly is tougher terrain, matching what I saw when they put it up there, which I haven't verified, of course, but I'm just saying, is the only option looking at the toughest part so that it looks like it's impossible? And then when you look at it from the direction of transferring wealth, the way I look at it is the people in a town circle, if the average home is worth a certain price point and the number of homes there, we're all going to take a discount and that's going to flow back to their side. So I'm just looking at it from a mathematical point of view. They're trying to build at a profit point, which I understand, but should it be at our expense? Because I don't know anybody that would think that we're going to see appreciation on our side by connecting these neighborhoods. And is that a big consideration or it doesn't really matter, I guess is the other question, when you guys are looking at it?
We do consider impacts of all types, including impacts to the properties adjacent to the subdivisions. So, yeah. Doesn't look like I satisfied you with that answer.
Well, because clearly if you lived in my neighborhood, you'd be on my side. I don't feel the warmth that you guys are looking at it as if you lived in our neighborhood. You're looking at this. They did spend a lot of money. I don't begrudge that. I'm all for businesses. But what's the price point of doing a different road versus just keeping going with this conversation, which, again, I don't see a path where a realtor is going to tell me, this is great. You took homes that were valued this much and you added a neighborhood that's a lot less expensive. Therefore, you're not going to lose value. I just don't see the common sense on that.
Understand.
And that's a transfer of wealth that's happening here, we're going to take a haircut, they're going to see their neighborhood go higher in value. Is there another path that makes everybody happy? And what's the cost of looking at another road? If it's a couple $100,000 versus diminishing everybody's return on their investments by 20%, a couple million, it should be a more equitable solution is what I'm trying to say.
Would it be different impact? You had a stub, if you had a cul-de-sac there from the other development, you still had all the same houses there?
I would tell you, I would look at it a little bit differently.
Looking for your
In a
perspective.
sense, because I know that that's not going to hurt my real estate value. If I'm looking to move today, it's already been determined, a couple of us have already said that people weren't interested in buying their homes. So that's an immediate impact, just because there's going to be traffic. But not only that, the future plans are definitely for a much lower price point on the homes. And that has impact when you look at estimating what your house should be worth. So yeah, that part's a shame. I mean, we're basically transferring wealth to the builder who's an expert in terms of assessing risk. If it's only a couple $100,000 to build it somewhere else, maybe that should be considered as well, as opposed to, it's a stub road, you guys knew about it, for sure, you should have known better. We couldn't predict that we're going to be facing a situation where the town is not looking at transferring wealth from one group to the other. It's how it feels. I'm not saying you're doing that, but if you lived on my street, you're going to say, wow, my house dropped in value. If you see that one of your neighbors tried to move already, and he couldn't get an appropriate price. And I think that should be a very strong consideration, a more equitable way of doing it. We just bought our homes there, loved the neighborhood, wanted to be there forever. And yeah, we saw Stub Road, but we had no idea they were going to build a much lower price point home. I don't think anybody reasonably would project that. And if you guys lived on our street, I'm sure you'd be sitting on this side in terms of your perspective. I'm not saying you're not there yet, but building that road for me, it's just not going to help us at all. Building that connectivity. I think there's other ways of getting the emergency path you seek that would be more equitable for everybody in the room. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, real quick. Jessica Bookert, 1083 Azano. I have a question about your process, so those boxes that you had on the screen. At what point do you review traffic in detail?
That's part of seeker. That's part of the preliminary plan review. So that's that elongated orange rectangle and up above the green squares.
Yeah, I see
The
that
traffic.
green square at the top that says that, and then there's the yellow rectangle underneath it. Where are we in that process now? Because I did get the letter saying that a letter was submitted about approximate traffic.
Yeah, there was a traffic analysis that was provided in the submission. I can see if I can find it here.
But technically, we have not started the seeker process yet.
Okay.
Right.
Today, we were going to just appoint ourselves
Lead agency.
to commence the seeker process.
Right.
And that's when you look at the traffic letter and then a potential study if you have to have one done.
Traffic is one of like 18 different
Okay.
Yeah,
elements that we look at.
So, Labella, we issued a letter as well on, and feel free to get a copy from the
I have
town's
it.
office. Okay, you do have it, all right. So typically, we would comment on traffic. Here's a traffic letter of findings from McFarland Johnson dated May 22nd, 2026. And the conclusion of the letter is that the trip generation analysis revealed that the additional traffic generated by the proposed development or proposed residential subdivision onto the existing roadway network will not exceed 100 trips per peak hour at any intersection. And due to the relatively low traffic generation from the proposed development, a detailed capacity analysis for off-site roadway intersections is not recommended. So, in Labella, we concur with the conclusion of this McFarland Johnson report. So, we're not asking for any further traffic study be done as part of this project.
Okay, so that's assuming that the proposal that they provided has the two-way connectivity to Azano Circle.
Yeah, probably even without the connectivity, right? Because we're not, well, actually, if there was only one, if there was only one connection to this particular development, there may be more than 100 trips per peak hour at the intersection with Brownsville Road. But I don't think, fire code doesn't allow for just a single access point.
Right.
Okay, so that letter was done assuming that Azano was always going to be the connectivity point.
Yeah.
Okay, so then when additional subdivisions are attached and connected and connected and connected. Is this process reopened then? And are the residents of Azano Circle notified again that additional subdivisions are coming in and potential more traffic and it might
Yeah.
impact you?
Yeah, so I think the notification process happens based on your proximity, the distance you are from a proposed project.
Okay.
So I think it might typically be 500 feet, all right? And there may, I don't know, maybe, there may be some properties in Azano Circle that are greater than 500 feet from this particular property, right?
I think every resident in
okay.
Ozano got a postcard
see.
just because you were outside the 500.
Okay, so we'd be outside of it at that point, but the through traffic,
But traffic would also be assessed on future developments as well.
okay,
Yep,
okay. Thank you.
yep.
Anyone else? All right, as Wes indicated earlier, there's going to be many opportunities down the road, so to speak, for public comment, input. Feel free to express also if you want to write the board and have it, get your thoughts in writing. We certainly read every one of those notes and comments as well, so, and we will address them. Did you?
Wes or Joe, could you guys just please clarify which board you are and which board does which? 'Cause sometimes the correspondence is addressed to, we're not quite sure who they mean to address it to.
Yep.
Thank you.
So the board that is in this room tonight, this is the Town of Victor Planning Board, which is different than the Town of Victor Town Board, right? The Town Board is the legislative body. They adopt the regulations and the rules. And this board, the Planning Board, carries out and administers the, some of those regulations, like the subdivision regulations and like the zoning regulations.
That help? Is that what you're?
Yes, thank you. Just sometimes when, and as staff, when we see the nature of the correspondence,
Okay.
we assume who they're meant to go to, but we have the Conservation Board, the Planning Board, the Town Board, and the Zoning Board. So this is the Planning Board. So if you mean to address it to this board, it's the Planning Board, not the Town Board.
Questions and comments regarding this project should be addressed to the planning board. If it's appropriate for us to pass it on to another board, we will. Conservation, zoning, town board, all of those things, will, those entities will get copies in general. But we are about to declare lead agency for this particular project, so we will be the lead agency reviewing this process. And we rely on the Conservation Board and the Zoning Board for their input, as well as other town entities, the Fire Department, the Town Highway Department, Parks Department, you name it, in the town. We rely on them for reviews as appropriate. So,
I should also mention that the members here on the planning board are not elected. They're appointed by the town board. Your town board members are the ones that are elected.
and they appoint us.
Yep.
Okay, so certainly look forward to hearing from you guys again. I wasn't trying to dampen the comments. I was looking for efficiency this evening. We got comments from you, that's fine. You know, I'm not begrudging you for any of that. So, we will move forward with this resolution, and I'll read it. For the Novarized subdivision, 973 Brownsville Road, application 2PS 2026, whereas on or about May 5th, 2026, the Town of Victor received a subdivision application from Marathon Engineering on behalf of Morale Team in Motion and RKH Golf LLC, proposing a 74-lot cluster subdivision over 3 parcels totaling 158.2 acres located east and west of Brownsville Road, including 973 Brownsville Road, tax map 160139 1600 142 and 1600 110 within the town's residential 2 zoning district and within the residential B overlay district. And whereas the Town of Victor Planning Board, the Planning Board preliminary classified as the project as a type 1 action under State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, at the June 9th, 2026 Planning Board meeting, and whereas the Planning Board initiated the lead agency coordination process as required for Type 1 actions and declared its intent to serve as lead agency at the June 9th, 2026 Planning Board meeting, and whereas Planning Board staff transmitted the EAF Part 1 and a copy of the subdivision application to all identified, involved, and interested agencies, notifying them that a lead agency must be agreed upon within 30 calendar days of the date of the environmental assessment form, was mailed to them expressing the Planning Board's intent to act as lead agency, and notification was sent to the New York State Department of Health, Town of Victor Town Board, and Ontario County Planning Board. Monroe County Water Authority, New York State DEC, and Town of Farmington Water and Sewer Department were also notified of the pending application as interested agencies, and whereas the involved agencies submitted responses indicating that they concurred with the Planning Board acting as lead agency and the 30-day timeframe within which any objections to the Planning Board serving as lead agency have passed. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town of Victor Planning Board assumes and confirms lead agency status for the Nova Rise project. So on that subdivision, entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move it.
Scott moves.
I'll second.
And Joe seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried 5-0. We are lead agency moving forward. So that concludes discussion on this project this evening. And I guess anything else? Anyone have any other business? Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move that too.
Scott moves.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good evening, everyone. What's left of it?
Have a wonderful vacation.